Hey now, welcome everybody. This is exclusively Van Halen, the weekly show and podcast here on Johnny Beane TV. We talk about Van Halen. It is March 18th, 2022, 8:09 p.m. Eastern, 5:09 Pacific, 7:09 Central, I guess. Yay! Awesome. So hey everybody, Johnny Beane here.
To y'all.
Cheers. Yep. I've got my tea. It's early here.
Tea? Yeah, it is early where you are.
I'm in the same time zone. Don't judge me.
Oh.
I won't. I started at 2 this afternoon. So.
Man. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome. Kurt 5150 is here. And Kurt, who do we have here tonight?
Oh, my gosh. Johnny, we have not only has this guy been an Ed Head enthusiast for, let's call it 40 plus years. I think he started playing guitar in 1975.
Yeah.
And then his life was completely flipped around in 1978 when he heard Van Halen 1. We have coming from Wisconsin, did a small stint in Chicago. I know Jay's not here, but Jay's from Chicago as well. He's a huge Bears fan, so we won't hold that against you two.
I'm sorry. My wife is too. It's all right. House divided. I'm a Packer fan, so, Packers, Bears. So. Yeah, house divided.
Oh, man. Well, he hails from Tennessee, and in his spare time, he blesses us with some amazing videos on YouTube, which you guys have probably seen, The Quest for the Brown Sound. He's done Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2, and Fair Warning. And we'll talk about his next drop, which should be coming soon. But the one and only Jim Gaustad.
Gaustad, close enough.
Gaustad. There we go. Sorry.
Gaustad.
Good Irish name. Or Norwegian.
I only make the mistake once.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
This is awesome. And you know what else is awesome? We have channel members here on Johnny Beane TV. The top tier of channel members are the executive producers. And they are Dave Ennis, Vinyl Freak 5150, Mike Neese, Music Therapy Laz, Majestic PB and J Cat, Wayno, False Flag, Sherman Callahan, Andy Carson, Michael B, R Habs. I think that says Warlag down there. Michael B, I still have to change your name, man. I'll get that done for tomorrow night's show. The Chad, who we might see tonight, maybe. Lawrence Christensen, Lenny Lou and Mary, James Gum, John Moronic, Paul Martinwood, Stephen Franklin, Michael Smith, the Captain, Thomas Santiago, Joe Christian, Jim Ray Hawkins, David Allen Wright, and Steve Carmichael. That's the top tier of channel membership here on Johnny Beane TV, here on YouTube. Become a channel member. Click that join button. Any super chats will change the color of my lights in the guitar more, as you guys know. Right there. If you'd like to help support the channel, support these shows. If you'd like to rent out some space, we got stuff over here. Currently, Tinkerman poster by Holly Lewis. Very cool. Very cool. And if you'd like to connect with us tonight, you can actually call 415-952-3263. We'll take some questions. We'll give you some answers. And we're live on Facebook, Johnny Beane TV Facebook page, where we have Facebook stars. And we're also live in the exclusively Van Halen Facebook group, just under 63,000 members. EVH Gear Live Facebook page and Facebook group, and Johnny Beane TV, blah, blah, blah. So here's Kurt.
Very.
And when I said Jim was playing guitar since 1975, he was in 1 or 2 years old, so not indulging his age. Very young player.
You're flattering me, but no, you can tell. A lot of mileage here. Lots of mileage. I was 9. In 75, I was 9.
I thought I'd give you that. A few years.
Thank you. I cannot tell a lie. So there it is. I had, I begged my mom. We were poor. We grew up really poor. So I begged my mom. Actually, my story is, first I joined a marching band. So I was playing I didn't graduate to snare, but I was playing a tom-tom. I got an older brother. He's 2 years older than me. I brought my tom-tom home to practice with and march around my backyard, and he took it from me, and he wouldn't give it back to me. So at that point, he decided to play the drums, and then I said, Mom, I want to play guitar. So we went out.
This sounds familiar.
This sounds kind of.
exactly.
Wait a minute. We've heard this somewhere before.
This is absolutely a true story. It was a marching band called the Cavalettes in La Crosse, Wisconsin. They had a cavalry uniform, you know, the whole U.S. belt buckle and the, you know, the whole dress blues and everything. And so I thought that was cool. I wanted to join them, and that's what I did. I was going to play the drums and all that. And my brother was bigger than me. He beat the crap out of me and took the drum from me, and I kind of never got it back. And so I started playing guitar after that. I saw Rory Gallagher on the Midnight Special. And you guys are too young to remember Burt Sugarman's Midnight Special, but it was a cool
I know
show.
the name. I know the name, but yeah.
It was a cool show on Saturday nights. You know, that and Don Kirshner's rock concert. But Rory Gallagher was on, and I thought, man, that was so cool, playing that Beat to Hell Stratocaster that he had. And that inspired me. I said, I gotta play guitar. So we went, and I nagged my mom, and we went to Lightholds Music in beautiful La Crosse, Wisconsin. And I got a pile of crap Stella Harmony acoustic with action about that high at the 12th fret. I love that guitar. And I played the ass out of that thing for, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years before I got an electric. So
cool.
Then I had that was a Hondo 2 Les Paul copy I got, was my first electric.
Nice.
I thought it was killer.
Yeah, but that's where you learn your chops, right? On your
It is. That's the guitar I owned when Van Halen 1 came out. I had that in my little Yamaha practice amp with the click-on distortion control.
Oh yeah.
You click it on and you turn it up, and of course it was turned all the way up. And I used to blow that amp up all the time because I kept finding these like high school, the intercom speakers, you know, on the wall underneath the clock.
We'd take anything we could get.
I'd grab those. Our singer at the time, I was in a band. We had formed a little band, and he had about 4 of those, and I just took the wires off the back of this 12-inch speaker in the back of the Yamaha.
Paper cone, right?
And I just wired them all in parallel with each other. So the impedance on that thing, that poor amp was probably down to 0.2 ohms, and I kept roasting the output side of it, solid state, but they kept replacing the output transistors in the heat sinks. So that was I started modifying things at a very young age, I guess.
Oh my gosh, I love it. More the better, you thought back then.
Yeah.
Stereos, amps, all that stuff. You just add to it, and you thought it was going to be better, but you were just reducing the sound into something else.
Yep. Well, my brother played the drums. He was the loudest drummer. I mean, he was inspired by, I'm not sure who the hell he was inspired by, quite frankly. I mean, he loved Alex Van Halen, but that came later. So, I mean, Neil Peart, God, we listened to all that stuff. I mean, all of the early 70s stuff, mid 70s, Deep Purple. Ian Pace, that was his guy. So my brother John just pounded the hell out of the drum kit. So I needed those extension speakers to keep up so you could hear the guitar over the drum kit. So that's my story I'm sticking to.
Wow. But dude, that's cool. That's cool. So were you experimenting with the amplifiers and stuff? Was that was before you got into Eddie?
Yeah. That was before I got into Eddie, and I had already switched out pickups in the Hondo. I already replaced the tuners that had those crappy stamped cast tuners, so I put a set of Shallers on it. Put a DiMarzio in the bridge position.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I had that guitar part. It had a bolt-on neck. It was a bolt-on neck Les Paul, so I was shimming the neck to get the action right. Yeah, I was 10, 11. Well, I was 11 years old at that point, I guess, when I was doing all that stuff.
That explains a lot.
My first pro gig, we were 12. And another funny story is we got stiffed. It was a $25 gig, and it was a YMCA 24-hour lock-in, and we were the band. And my mom booked the gig for us through the 4-H or some kind of thing like that, and they stiffed us. They stiffed us. Either that or my mom, the manager, stole the money and absconded with the $25. It was one or the other. I don't know. So yeah, it's
one
been a
cool
storied
thing.
Career.
One cool thing, Johnny, that I know we're going to get into Jim's whole repertoire, but one cool thing I think, since we're talking about the early days, Jim witnessed the second show in Madison, Wisconsin, the year after the hotel incident.
No, it was actually the year of the hotel.
No, it was the year of.
That's when it came out on the album. It was
right.
So it was 1978, and that's when they played the Shuffle In, which is a club I used to hang at all the time, but I was too young to see them in 78.
And then 79, they came back the next year after the hotel incident, and they put it in the album sleeve and all. I thought that was pretty cool.
It was an amazing. It was absolutely blow away. Screams was the opening act, and I was 79. What was I, 13? Is that right? 66, 70. Yeah, I was 13. So I'm doing the math right. I've been, like I said, I've been drinking since 2. Lie. But
I was 2. I was 2 in 79.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it was Screams that opened, and my brother and I had made it up to the front. It was festival seating, general admission seating. We made it all the way up to the front. And, 13-year-old kid up in the front on an open big floor in the Coliseum. It was pretty brutal up there. And we stayed there long enough for about the first 3-4 songs. And they opened with Light Up the Sky, and I'll never forget it. It was truly a game changer, completely for me. At that time I was listening to Van Halen, in 78 when my buddy put the album on, and that changed me. But up until that point, it was Ted Nugent, Kiss, Aerosmith, all the Foghat, Deep Purple, loved, Head East, Cheap Trick, that sort of thing. All that stuff was going on. But yeah, so it was the first drop curtain I had ever seen too, and we were right up front for the big drop curtain, so you could hear. Oh my God! You could hear Ed doing what he always did before the show. The dive bombs and the hammers and all that stuff. Anthony was subsonic, spanking the bass and everything and beating the hell out of it. And Al just riffing around. Then you got the Rudy intro. You know, and the Mighty Van Halen and
Mighty Van Halen. Yep.
When the drop curtain came down, just disappeared. And it was the biggest light rig, the biggest stage rig you had ever seen up to that point. It was massive. You look at the pictures now from the 79 tour, and it was compared to, 81 and then 84, which was absurdly ridiculous. But it was so cool. There was so much energy. So they did they open up with Light Up the Sky, and there's guys up top in the light rig that are running the foul spots. There's 5 guys sitting up there. So they got 5 guys in foul spots right above them. And again, you had never seen that before either. So they're running back and forth across the stage. On the intro, and they're going back and forth, and it's just coming at you like you knocking your head off. Huge, powerful, the whole deal. And here comes Roth coming out, swinging out, doing its whole thing, and they're in the song, and you go, wow, here it is, man. This is Light Up the Sky, and they're doing it, and it sounds killer. And they get to the drum break, and Mike and Ed run up to the side of the drum riser, and there's, that was the clear and chrome drum kit, and it was huge. So you couldn't really see what was up there with all the lights coming off of it and everything. But there were timbales clear timbales on either side angled out for Mike and Ed. So they're up there. So they're in the drum break and they're all playing the drums. And Roth is standing on the kick drums hitting the cymbals. And I'm sitting there looking at my brother and we're going, what the fuck is this? This is incredible. Yeah. And then they come out of it just like that and they go and just like that, they're back into the song. And it was like, holy crap. And then the whole night was like that. It was one thing after another. The energy was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Who does that? Who does that on their, I mean, let's call it their sophomore tour? Usually most bands, they start, their freshman tours opening up for someone. And then the first headline, they got their toe dipped in the water. And then usually the next tour is when they want to go big. Van Halen went big their first opportunity.
Yeah, they did. Mm-hmm. They went, that was smoking big. It was, I mean, it really was. It was cool. I've got my pretty good buddy that managed the Shuffle Inn where they played in 78 when they destroyed the Sheraton Inn. And the Shuffle Inn, I can say this, I know it, the Shuffle Inn before it burned down years later, right, had the best dressing room in the Midwest. The absolute best dressing room in the Midwest. Because Van Halen destroyed the dressing room. Because they were pissed that they got kicked off the tour for the night because there wasn't enough room on the stage that they were playing. I forget whether maybe it was the Orpheum Theater or something like that. There wasn't enough room on the stage to do the 3 bands deep. Because it was Journey, Montrose, and Van Halen.
Right.
So they ended up last minute calling the Shuffle Inn to see if they could get a night to play there or play that night. And sure enough, they did. But they destroyed the dressing room. They destroyed the Sheraton. And that's why the note exists on the back of the second album. Special thanks, 7th floor, Madison, Wisconsin, Sheraton Inn, Madison, Wisconsin. But the manager that I know, that was his first night as the manager of the Shuffle Inn. Oh, my gosh. And they had the Shuffle Inn was a great rock club, but it probably had a fire capacity of about 450, 500 people. I guess they had well over 1,000 people that night. They moved out all these pool tables. They moved out and they stacked beer cases on either side of the stage, like for wings, to set Eddie's 4x12s and Mike's SVT bottoms up. So it would extend out from either side of the stage.
Right.
Because the stage was too small for obviously what they were touring with even in 78.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool
Man,
stuff.
That's crazy that you witnessed a lot of that because, we were, too young to witness any of that stuff. But because I have, and of course, many of us have seen the Super 8 footage from 78 and 79. Yeah. And so I know what you're talking about when you say they're all playing the drums. Like I've seen it, but to have been there, that's a whole nother. That's incredible, man.
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Then I saw him again. I missed him on the 80 tour, and then I saw him again for Fair Warning. So when they came back for Fair Warning, it was like, holy crap. Because then you saw that stage, the mountains, the mountains of speaker cabinets.
Yeah.
Those Flag Audio System speaker boxes, with the white baffles. And God, it was cool. And the light rig was massive. And that's the first time they did the whole, at the end of the night when the whole rig came down with the big VH logo on it. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't going to be up front. I wanted to catch the show from a little further back. And I was behind the soundboard. So back of the floor in the arena. Mm-hmm. And when that rig turned down at the end of the night and the huge VH logo was there, you could feel the heat on your face. You could feel the actual temperature coming off of that. I mean, Those were aircraft landing lights. Those were ACLs, which is what we all used back in the day when we had dimmer packs, for our light rigs and everything, all that stuff where you'd tap into the 440 mains coming into the building so you could just run your light rig and everything because it was all super high voltage. You'd have hundreds of thousands of watts of lighting. Mm-hmm. And it was incandescent lighting or it was quartz lighting. It was just, it drew a lot of heat. these LED lights, that's these kids are using these days.
That's what I have on me.
They're good for the environment, apparently, they say.
Oh, well, whatever. You don't sweat like you used to when you play, because
Right.
used to, in the band I played with that we toured with in the late 80s, our drummer had a mohawk. The band was called The Victims, and it was like Depeche Mode meets Van Halen. Because I was a guitar player, and it was
wow.
And the singer and the drummer were brothers, and they were into all that stuff. They were into that mid 80s Depeche Mode kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love it.
Of course, I was into what I was into. But anyway, we toured complete. We traveled with all these pretty big light rig and a pretty big PA. And we had these 600-watt quartz ray par 56 cans in the light rig for the drum specials right above the drummer. And Jeff had this big mohawk, and he had hairspray in it. Loaded with hairspray to make that mohawk stand up. And we were playing, I can't remember but the trussing was down kind of low, and it was pretty close to his head. And we looked back, and his mohawk was smoking. It was about ready to catch fire. There was so much heat coming from those quartz ray lights, but that's off on a tangent. So
yeah. So Jim, my dad was an electrician.
Yeah.
And he put some lights out back so we could play wiffle ball when I was a kid. And he had these big halogen that he mounted up on the side of the house. You could fry an egg on those things.
Yeah. They got hot, man. I had some 1,000-watt par 64s. Those are the big ones. Had some 1,000-watt or par 64s that we'd put in front of the drum riser. Just like we were ripping off Van Halen, of course. But right. So they were shined straight out, and they were awesome. The LEDs don't do the same thing, I don't think. But again, off on
Johnny,
a tangent.
You want to? No, we'll get going here in a minute. But
I've got mine right here, man.
70-some people watching. You want to talk about this giveaway we're going to be doing tonight?
Yeah. We got 75 people sitting here. You guys, look down below, going across the screen. Type #win in the chat, and we're giving away right here a 79 Bumblebee replica guitar strap
tonight,
tonight only.
Yep.
Made by
Luis from Fairfield Guitars, who just did 2 runs of the Gunner strap, Bomber strap, 78 guitar strap, which we'll get into a little bit later. He generously messaged me and wants to give away this Bumblebee strap tonight to a lucky winner. Jim, don't make me grab mine.
It would look good on here.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's going to get his. It's begun.
I'm sure his is nice.
It's literally it's Bumblebee gun.
You got that?
Nicer, right?
Here, I'll spotlight both of you.
See, I don't know. I got a gold Floyd on mine.
All right, so I got a hybrid. Mine's antique bronze with the FU tone upgrades, and then I got a chrome bar on it.
Yeah, not me. I'm not that fancy. What you got? Is it an ash body?
Ash body. Yep.
All right. You're doing that right. Good deal.
What pickup do you have?
Mine. Huh?
What pickup?
It's a Super D.
So I got a tone zone in mine.
Really?
Yeah, it sounds good.
I had to go for the accuracy of the hex pulls.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. This guitar never sounds good to me. But it may come out for the Women and Children First video.
You know what? What man, maybe we should talk about that later, but was this used on the Women and Children's First album or not?
I don't believe so. I think if it was, I think it was only used for the squeals and the dive bombs on Everybody Wants Some. And the solo, perhaps. Other than that, no. It's hard to find any. There's only one song that's got one of the overwound hot pickups on it. Otherwise, it's a PAF and a Super 70.
It's Alan Garber. I don't know if he's going to be here tonight. He
Do you know Alan?
Alan. Alan is the keeps me honest. He's the resident expert, so he keeps me honest on everything. If I screw something up in a video, if I play something wrong, he'll point it out to me and send me the
He's right on you.
He'll send me the tab. He's all over me. I love the guy, but he's all over me about it. So, in fact, he's why I do the disclaimer now about I'm not here to give a clinic on how to play it. I'll play it as close as I can. But I've kind of always been that kind of player anyway. I'm a field player. I'm an ear player and a field player. I barely read tabs at all. I just play. That's the way we grew up, putting the needle on the record, listen, sing the part to yourself, and then translate it to the guitar. So I think it's better ear training. But yeah, I don't play everything as accurate as I probably should. Close enough, though. Close enough for rock and roll.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
so
cool. Yeah,
Alan's
a great. He's a great guy, man. Yeah, he's been on the channel here over the years many times.
Yeah.
I mean, I see him. I mean, you know this. We're all on. Well, I don't think Kurt's on Facebook, but on Facebook, anything having to do with the guitar. What wood was that? What pickup was in that? How did he play that? Alan is like all in the comments of all that.
Tuning.
I know. Tuning is the thing, and he's dead on with that. It's so true, though. It is so true, and that was. When I did the fair warning video, it was so evident to me recording those parts. If I was 20 cents off, you could hear the difference in the tone. And I said, "Oh, I got to redo that." I didn't.
Alan's gonna be mad.
It didn't quite capture the tone. It's true though. It is absolutely true. It's just. I'm not slagging him. It's absolutely true. He's a genius. He's a savant when it comes to that. It's cool, and he's been a great resource. In fact, when I started doing the Women and Children First video that hasn't dropped yet, I reached out to him to say, what year was those studio pictures where Ed's playing the burst at Sunset Sound? He's sitting on the 4x12.
Yeah, they're staged. Apparently, they're staged photos.
Well, sure they are, but the pickup is missing from the 59 that's the year. So I had to get that from Alan. So he told me what year it was, because I had a feeling that pickup ended up in one of the guitars that was used to record Women and Children First.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the theories that I was working on. So I wanted to ask him if he knew what year that Les Paul was. So I private messaged him. I said, Alan, would you happen to know? And he didn't off the top of his head, but he had a guy he went to. He was back to me in 5 minutes with an answer.
It's a 58, or he had a 58 and he had a 59.
Yeah, and that was the 59. The better looking one was the 59, and that was the better looking one. So he took the pickup out of the 59. So that led me.
58 sounded better. Yeah.
But that led me to believe or theorize what type of magnet was in the 59 PAF and what type of wind it was.
Okay.
I mean, PAFs
that thought. We're going to get into that. I got
all
a bunch of.
All right. Whatever. I'm good.
Because I want Jay to get in here when we get into the pickup talk, because I got a bunch of questions for you, but we are going to give away the Bumblebee strap to someone in the chat. Johnny's going to do a drawing sometime towards the end of the show, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, we got 19 entries. We got 64 watching. So let's get a few more entries in here.
If you want to win it.
I'm good.
You have a Bumblebee. Come on.
No, because then another package will show up and my wife will say, now what? Now what's coming? Did you really need more guitar stuff?
You know what, Jim? You know what I miss? As he goes and grabs something. I miss when I used to have an office and I could ship stuff to my office. Now that I work from home, everything has to come home.
Oh man,
That's the new 5150 I'm building right there.
oh cool.
It's already grain filled, getting ready for paint. So
Nice neck.
yeah, you like that short scale.
So
You can really stretch it though.
your other 5150 is a poplar, correct?
It is, and that's another thing. Alan just burst my bubble on. As a matter of fact, he said, "You know, that's
did you
the wrong wood."
You bought that? You bit that that fish lure that he sent your way?
Yep, I did.
Is it ash?
That's this swamp ash. It sounds fabulous. I could never get my poplar one to sound good. Ever. I don't care what kind of pickup I put in it. I could not get it to sound good. I put this one together without any paint on it, to make sure. I got this one from Chris Locke. And I put it all together, fixed a couple of routes, pickup depth and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to do a little trimming in the neck pocket. But I put it all together with the parts from my other 5150, and it cleared up all the tone problems I was having with it. So I'm tickled with it. I mean, I'll lay the paint on it and it'll wreck it, but
I went basswood on this one.
Yeah.
But I have I got the Pariah Pasadena 80 black 86 mod in it.
Yeah. Cool.
Which is the same as a JB, but it's a Allen Eagle 5 instead of an Allen Eagle 2.
Well, the JB is an A5.
Oh, is it 5 maybe?
The Frankie's the A2. The Frank pickup is a 14K A2. The JB is about a 15.5K A5. I think.
Yeah.
Alan Garber.
Check my notes.
Where are you?
I know.
No,
we need the Alan Garber direct line.
I should pull out my 5-gallon bucket full of humbuckers and dump it out here.
But one of the things I want to talk to you about, and I know we're completely going off 10 tangents, but
this is exactly the stuff.
Jim, before I put this Pasadena in, I had a JB and a 250K pot in.
Yeah, good for you. Good for
but
you.
When I put the Pasadena in, I switched to a EVH 500K low friction pot.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's different than that 250K pot. Man, I don't know. It's different. It's like, I don't know how to explain it.
It takes the edge off. You lose a little bit of gain, which you need for Van Halen. His sound is pretty damn clean. And the 500K lets too much of that high frequency sizzle pass through. So you get too much of that buzz, that buzzy stuff. His is, like he said in like I think it was the April 80 Guitar Player magazine, where he said, it's like the big home stereo, the big brown sound, like Al's snare, the big, he just wanted a big, loud, warm stereo instead of the transistor radio. And that, to me, like going back to, I wish I had done it for my Van Halen 1 deep dive. I wish I had gone I had always suspected it, but I never, I couldn't allow myself to break the rules. It's just like, you got a humbucker, it's a 500K pot. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what all the experts say.
That's what
but all the time I was thinking, Ed, as I said in the videos, as I explained in one of my videos, is that, he wasn't a technician, a solder nut, and he just grabbed whatever he had on the bench or what was originally in the Stratocaster.
And then have Amazon or any of that shit where you just go buy one.
You couldn't even go to a music store and buy one. If you knew a repair guy, you could probably get one. But yeah, so I should have done it on the first video, because on that first video, I fought the fizz. I fought the fizzies. The amp has too much gain. It's a non-master. I mean, it doesn't have a gain control or anything like that. It doesn't master a preamp. It doesn't have any of that. It's just a 4-hole Marshall that's turned up. But that's what I fought. And had I put the 250K in there, I wouldn't have had to do the EQ and post and start backing stuff off in the post EQ and trying to get rid of that extra sizzle gain I was getting. So, it's a big deal, and I think that's the pot that stays in the entire life of the Frankenstein for sure. And this, the rumor is about the 5150 too. Is that
really?
Was a 250K. The guys from the Kramer factory said it was a JB with a 250K. I'm not sure it was a JB. I think it was a 59 that was overwound, is what I think. I think it was like
calling Rob Johnson right now.
I think it was a 12K 59, somewhere in that range.
Everybody in their replicas right now.
Oh my God. But I understand because when I switched, it was edgier when I went to the 500K.
Yep.
I guess that I'm not really big into the, recording. I'm a boutique player, but I could tell it was like, it was edgier. I guess the sound was edgier than when I had the 250K pot in it before.
Right. And also, guys, a lot of these guitar aficionado types, and they slag the JB. They say, yeah, it's to this, it's to that, but they're playing through their master volume, overly compressed gain
Modulated amp.
Yeah, and put it in a 4-holer. Put it in a vintage 4-holer and turn it up, and you'll go, holy crap, that JB sounds pretty damn good. And that's what everybody was using back then. So it's not hard to believe that, knowing that that's what Ed played through, that's pretty much the pickup. And that was Seymour's flagship pickup. Was the JB.
I got 84 Kramer that has the JB in it, and that's why I switched pickups on this, because I didn't want to have two pickups in the same type guitar.
You got to get the Halen FW right there, the Fair Warning pickup, the Halen Fair Warning right there. See?
Is that new?
That's the one I had for the Fair Warning video. I had him wind it for me.
Oh, cool.
It's not in the guitar because I've got a different pickup for Women and Children First in it, but that's the pickup that I believe was in it from Van Halen 2 on. That's the spec that I had Greg at Halen wind that for me, which is available upon request.
So we can get into the nerdy shit here in a little bit, but
I know you keep pushing me back.
I know.
Have another drink.
Let's step back a little bit. What possessed you to open up a YouTube channel and do your first video?
Ed's death, actually.
Okay.
It really tore me up. I mean, he was my
the choir.
He's my mentor, from a mentor from afar, a huge influence on me. I was weaned on Richie Blackmore and that kind of thing. So I love all kinds of players, and Rory Gallagher and all of that. Mm-hmm. And you got to love Jimmy Page and all that. But Ed was, I'll never forget that day in '78, when my buddy said, hey, you got to hear this. And Thanksgiving Day, 1978, drops the needle on the record. And it was like, he's just started it with Running with the Devil. He just did the car horn thing, the slowed down car horn thing. It was like, what the hell is that? And then they get into it. Was the biggest guitar sound. It was the coolest thing you ever heard. You went, holy crap. This sure beats Nugent's Big Showman amps. It was like, oh my God, listen to that thing. And then the next track being Eruption, it was like, pick your jaw up off the floor. And, and back then the guitar writers and that were, the guitar magazine writers were saying, that's a synthesizer. It's, it's one of the new guitar synths, or it's an actual keyboard, but no, it was a guitar. And it was like, how the hell is he doing that? But anyway, that's what, that's what put me down the path. And that's, I was doing my own thing. I never had a Van Halen striped guitar. I never, when I was touring and playing with the national act and the regional act and the wedding bands and all the other crap I played with and, recorded with, I was always using old Marshalls. So I knew what Ed was talking about in his interviews. I had played through them. I knew what they sounded like. You know, I knew how they behaved. And I grew up doing that, you know, adjusting the volume knob on the guitar, not using pedals. No, I've never used a distortion pedal in my life, you know. And so I grew up playing the old fashioned way, just like he did. So as I was living that life and playing guitar and doing my own thing, and I was ripping them off every chance I got, of course, on my original stuff and the solo lines and everything. And, you know, we were all doing that in the 80s, you know, and recording as much of it as we could or that sort of thing. But when he died, it was like, God, you know, I've kind of known how to do all this stuff for a long, long time. And I never would have done it while he was alive, because it's kind of like a professional courtesy or whatever. You don't step on somebody's thing, you know,
pouncing on their parade.
Yeah. So you know, even though he had moved on to the 5150 amps and everything, and I probably could have done it, it never really occurred to me to do it until then. And I said, you know what? I did a couple of little videos. Like I think I did the I'm the One playthrough, or not the playthrough, but the backing track one. And that was my basic rig. And I didn't spend all the time that I do in the deep dive videos. And I started getting a lot of questions about, how do you do that? How is that? What are you using? What's your, you know? So I thought to myself, you know, I should probably do a quick video. And in my world, a quick video, you know, it's like that happened. The first one happened, my shortest one, it clocks in at 31 minutes or something. But it was, I just felt like I could impart some wisdom and then be gone. And then the request, well, what's the second album sounds different? What did he do on the second album? So then, you know, I knew about the Schaffer, the wireless, and I had one, you know, so I knew what it did to the tone of the guitar. So, because I had played with one way back when, and so I sourced one, and I said, all right, I gotta do the Schaffer thing now, because it's a big deal, or Schaefer. People say it different ways, but the Schaefer Vega.
Well, Jim, your first video came across my feed. I clicked on it, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy, and where has he been? Seriously.
Yeah, well,
seriously.
Yeah, well, that's the reason I didn't do it until Ed passed. And then I thought, well, okay, now I'll kind of spill the beans, or at least what I think I know. Like I always say, it's always speculation, and it's always, you know, but I do my best I do my research, and I say, okay, well, I know it's a 4-hole super lead. I know it's a 68 build. Friedman was in the amp. He told us what's in the amp. Mine is built the same way. You know, I was using the Variac way back in the early 80s, you know, because I read about it in Guitar Player magazines. I was using that Variac way back when, because I thought, wow, this thing is brilliant. It quiets the amp down, you know. So yeah, I guess it was just, I just kind of knew, and it was time. That's to sum it all up. So,
yeah. Well, a lot of people have subscribed, obviously, since. So, did you open your YouTube just to do that one video?
I had posted some stuff, and I was actually producing a guitar TV show here in Nashville. We were trying to do. So I had opened up. I had a YouTube account, and you can see some of that on there. And I had posted some live video of the Van Halen tribute thing that I play in. And I had posted some covers that I had redone, some old Jay Ferguson songs. I did Devil Woman by, what the hell's his name? You're just a devil woman with evil. What the hell's his name? Doesn't matter. But so I wanted to post those up there, because you can get those on iTunes. You know?
Right.
So,
ding.
Yeah, ding, ding, Spotify, all of them. But so I had an outlet, but it was, you know, I had 90 subscribers or something. So I started doing the Van Halen stuff, and I think I'm pushing 4,000 at this point. I had some ridiculous amount of hours of, on your YouTube report, some ridiculous amount of viewing hours. And I went, holy crap, there's a lot of people watching. I'm getting people from New Zealand, England, South America. They're all reaching out to me with questions and everything. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been cool. Yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome.
But then I wish people would read the comments so I don't have to answer the same damn thing over and over. Just scroll through the comments. You'll find the answer.
Man. Well, there's Jim's channel. If you guys haven't been over there, check him out.
Yeah, and you know what? It's weird because I'll get guys that reach out to me and they'll say, "Hey, I just saw your such and such video. Would you do fair warning?" And I said, "Go to the channel and look, because I did it." It's like, so I don't know how YouTube catalogs that stuff. Maybe I need to go in and organize it. But I'm a newbie, so I don't know.
Yeah. What you can do is you can actually make playlists, and you can feature all this, like right on the front page of your channel. You can actually have 78 playlists, 79 like different playlists of the different eras of videos.
Right, cool.
I can help you. I can help you with that.
Cool. Then that's what I need to do. Great. Yeah. Because that'll save my carpal tunnel from responding. I'm going to need surgery pretty soon.
Oh no.
So Jim, I do try to answer every question, every comment. I try to be the friendly guy. I learned years ago that trying to be the cock of the walk guitar player is stupid. I mean, we're all in this together. We can all share. We can all learn stuff. I'm not trying to prove anything anymore, and nothing sets me off like a guitar player with a holier than thou attitude. That just pisses me off. So those are the kind of guys I want to play under the table. Other than that, or drink them under the table, one or the other.
Right. Good luck with that.
I know. I'm massaging my liver right now.
So you've done Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2, and
some
fair warning.
And fair warning. And I did the addendums.
The people in the chat who are watching, if they haven't seen him, he literally deep dives into the guitar, the pickups, the cabinets, the amp, the effects,
the miking position,
how they were mic'd, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because that right, the miking position is very important.
Yep. What speakers they're mic'd, how they're mic'd.
There you go.
How they're compressed going in. So that I'll get in. I didn't do it as much on the first one. I expanded on it in the second for Van Halen 2, where I actually show the Logic screen, Apple Logic, that's my DAW. That's what I use to record all this stuff with. And that's when I showed what it looks like in the DAW. And then in the fair warning video, I went in even further depth than that. So women and children first, I'm approaching a little bit differently because there's just so many things. I got the acoustic guitar I got to deal with. I got the Wurlitzer 200A keyboard I got to deal with for Cradle Rock.
Oh man.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of moving parts. Then there's multiple guitars. There's the 12-string for In a Simple Rhyme, which I put the teaser video up a while ago. I did it with my double neck. Mine's a Greco, but it's the ES 1275 lawsuit guitar is what mine is. But
nice.
So
any plans on doing Diver Down or 84?
I think, I was just going to do some select things off of Women and Children First because I had a lot of requests on it. But as I started getting into it, I went, this thing is monumental. There's the amount of information that's going to be packed into this thing is ridiculous. I mean, it really is. It's nuts. There's this thing. I'm hesitant to say what it is, but he mentions it in the April 80 Guitar Player magazine issue of what he's doing with the live amps. and I'm pretty sure that that ended up in the studio before it went out on the road.
Really?
For the amp. So that's going to be featured in the breakdown too. It's, I mean, I know I'm teasing it, but I don't want to commit to it yet, because like I said before we went on, every time I'm listening back to one of these things, I go, there's something happening in the low mid that I'm not quite capturing it, and I've moved the microphones 150 times, and I've tweaked the EQs and I've done this, and there's only so much you can capture with the EQ, with the mic placement. There are certain things that are inherent between the guitar and the amp that the more I get into this, the more I am convinced, and I can almost tell you he's using a PAF right there. Right. Now that's not the PAF, that's the Super 70. Because without changing the rig setup, without changing any of it, and even if you tweak the EQ in post, you can't quite get that, there's a low mid bump, or there's a certain hollowness to something, and you just can't get it without having the right component at the right time. That's why I always think that I say it's always speculation, but I test it and test it and test it and test it until I'm 99% convinced that I'm on the right path.
Insane.
Because I got nothing
People
else.
don't realize that when they see your videos that you're doing 600 takes and you're picking the best one out of the 600.
Well, it's not that when I actually go to film the take, when I go to do my little bit playing what abbreviated version of the song I'm going to play, I have a rule that I do 2 takes and I pick the best one. Okay. But because I don't want to beat it to death, because that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to do a Van Halen clinic. I'm here to do the Van Halen tone, the sound, the components.
Sure.
Because there are guys that play the stuff better than me, and that's not what I'm here for. But I'll do the 600 recordings. Like, I bet just this afternoon, I was busier than hell this morning with work. I own a marketing company. I was busier than hell. It was a typical Friday morning this morning. And at about 1 o'clock opened up, and my office is my studio. So I walked over from my desk and I turned the amps on.
Same here.
Turned everything on. And I bet I recorded Romeo Delight 8 times, 10 times, making adjustments in between.
Love it.
So I record it. I'd say, I'd think about it. I have a theory. Okay, so the amp gets set up this way, the bias is set this way. So I start out on it with a really broad picture, and then I narrow it down, because I know what bias settings do in my amplifiers, and I know what a different set of tubes will do. I know what V1 does versus V2 versus V3. Whether it's a set of EL34s, whether it's a set of 6CA7s, I know what they sound like, and I know how they behave on the EQ in post. So I set out with these preconceived theories by what I hear on the Van Halen record.
Album, yeah.
Yeah, and then I go, okay, so I'm going to start at this point, because this is what I think it is. Photographic evidence, whatever it is, listening evidence, written evidence, and then I start that process. I start with the basic setup from Van Halen 1, because I don't think they changed it a lot in the studio as far as the recording setup. So I start with that basic setup. It's always 2 microphones on the cabinet, 1 cabinet, but 2 microphones, because even if you're just using 2 Celestions instead of a Celestion and a JBL like Van Halen 1 and Van Halen 2, if you're just using 1 speaker, it becomes one-dimensional sounding. Celestions, I don't care. You can have a cabinet with all 4 of them, and each one sounds different. So that automatically thickens and fattens the sound. You're miking 2 Celestions. Miking them in the same position, but you got 2 microphones and you got 2 tracks. So that's already expanded your tonal palette. So I start there, and then I start with my premises, and then I go and test them and record, listen back, record, make an adjustment, make a change, record, listen back. And so when I say I do that probably 600 times or more, that's not an exaggeration. And then on an album like Women and Children First, where he's using on the basic electric tunes, there's 3 guitars that he's using on the album, 3 different guitars, and they're all considerably different. And then you try to blend that with your EQ, because I try to keep it simple, because I always think that, well, you're in an old analog studio, so let's keep it as simple as possible, because that's what they would have done. And there's not a lot of re-EQing for the guitar. He's grabbing a different guitar because he liked the way it sounded, not the way it sounded in post when you're tweaking it in post. So that's part of the process. It's a painstaking, but really, I mean, it's fun. It's frustrating, but fun. But that's what's taken me so long on Women and Children First, is because first I had to narrow down the 3 guitars and the pickups in each one of the guitars.
Right.
So now I have a caller. Everybody to death.
We might have a caller coming in. Johnny, we got a caller?
Okay. Yeah, we do.
And it's short.
We have a specific question, and it's short. Okay. Who is this?
Okay. Kurt with a C.
Kurt with a C is here.
Okay.
Hey, Kurt.
What's up, Kurt?
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Pretty enamored by the stuff that you're talking about tonight. Here's a specific question. I'll ask it and hang up. On atomic punk.
Yep.
In layman's terms, in 100 words or less, how did you achieve the rhythm guitar sound, that low, bassy, airy, for lack of a better description, sound? How did you go about that? If you can say it in layman's terms, I'd appreciate it, and I'll hang up. But great show. Have a great show, everybody.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thanks, Kurt.
Okay. Bye, Johnny.
Bye-bye.
It's an Echoplex EP3 that's running through there. Makes a big difference. It's the ash body with a PAF, a low wind, a 7.8K PAF to make it open and make it woody. If you get into overwound pickups, it becomes too compressed, so you lose that dynamic in that pump. It sounds like you're running too much compression in post. So that's why I said earlier, the guitar and the amplifier have to be working together, and that's where the dynamic comes in. Not too much gain on the amplifier and not too much push coming from the guitar. That's the bottom line. It's as simple as that. Capture it as naturally as possible without too much distortion.
Mm-hmm.
Because there isn't any bass. There's no bass bump in that, if I remember right. That's just the natural sound of the amp and the guitar.
Everyone if anything, he dimed everything, which he didn't.
That's not right. And
right.
I think the first album that he dimed everything was Fair Warning. And he didn't dime Volume 2. He just dimed Volume 1. Volume 2 was off. You can't get there. The amp gets too compressed. It's too muddy. It's just way too flabby and flubby. And you guys have seen my videos. I own about 8 of these super leads. I mean, there's 3 stacked here. There's another couple over on the other side. I got an old 76 combo super lead, and I got some up in Wisconsin too, where the band is. Yeah, I used to keep identical setups up in Wisconsin as I have down here. Jeez. So I could fly back and forth for the gigs, but right. Yeah, it's just you can't crank the amplifier. It's too much mush. It's too much mud. Unless, never having heard Ed's amp, the famous 68 spec amp of his, that amp might have been painfully clean. It might have been, just the cleanest example of a 68 Marshall super lead you've ever heard. I've got and have played through literally hundreds of 4-hole Marshalls, and when you turn them up to 10, they they flub out and they fart out, and they have so much distortion on tap. That's not what you hear in the Van Halen thing in the first albums.
Right.
But when you get to Fair Warning, that's when it gets that thick, grungy, and that's why I say that's the first album that I think he ever dimed it on, and I think it's the only album that he ever did, because Diver Down doesn't sound that way. Diver Down goes back, and 1984 is, I mean, it's his 58V with a PAF, and it's clean as can be, that album. The guitar sound is really crispy and clean. So
Jay, where are you at?
It's not dimed.
You looking for a guy that owns a Ripley for your 84 video?
Actually, yeah.
I know a guy.
I have another volunteer too. That
He's sitting next to you.
Really?
Yeah, Johnny has a black Ripley.
I need that and a pair of Music Man amps.
Hey, Jay.
There he is.
Hello.
Good morning.
I was waiting. I didn't want to jump in when Jim was talking about something. So
you got to, because I never shut the hell up.
Well, that's good. So that means I don't have to say anything. That's a good thing. Hey, Jim, how you doing? I'm Jay. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Jay, good to meet you.
I'm sorry I'm late.
It's all right.
We have company in. My 2-year-old son wouldn't go to sleep, so
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Well, I'm sitting next to the two guys that I know that can nail the intro to Mean Streets right now in this. What do you call it? Foursquare game?
Foursquare, huh?
Yeah, Foursquare.
Who does it? Who nails it?
You're pointing Kurt's pointing the wrong way.
Point me
You guys
to
both
it.
do.
I want to watch it. That's a feat, man. That is a thing.
Yeah, I'll explain to you sometime in private how I finally heard what he was doing. It was late at night one night, and yeah, I'll explain later.
Yeah, not to put you on the spot, Jay. Sorry.
Some foreign
Puff.
foreign substance was involved, and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my god! I finally hear it! I finally hear it!"
Yeah, yeah. It is. It's a thing. It really is. It's a thing, and it's so much of it is you have to have the rhythm. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You have to have the rhythm. Otherwise, you can't get it. You have to have the rhythm in the feel. Otherwise, you can play all the right notes, but you aren't going to get it.
And I'm not saying I play it. No, I mean nobody will ever play it identical to how it is on the record, but
Well, I can almost now. Alan and I disagreed about this. Back to Alan Garber, but
Shocker.
I love you, Alan. If you're listening, I love you. I'm not slagging you. I really believe that got spliced between the slap and the actual taps at the 12th fret.
that transition is a bitch.
It is. You cannot do it. And Alan says, yeah, I've seen a guy do it on YouTube, and you still, even if you slide up to the 5th fret to do that last pattern of slaps, so you can start the run on the 5th fret, you're still changing the timbre of the chug that you're slapping down here when you're hitting it on F or F sharp, when you're muting on F or F sharp. So it sounds different, and Ed's doesn't sound different. So, yeah. And then you listen to that transition, and they took the razor blade on the tape and they taped it back together. I guarantee you they did it. They spliced it.
Because that's the one thing that, like, when I'm trying to play that, I'm like, that's if you can get that even close to smooth, it's like, okay.
You ever notice he never did it live?
Yeah, I know. Well, sometimes he'll there's like be a slight delay, like going from.
He never did it live. Yeah. He never did it live. He did all kinds of great embellishments, and that the 5150 solo is killer.
Yeah.
When he's doing the takeoff on it, up at the 12th fret and sliding the first finger back and forth in the taps.
Oh, yeah.
That's for the slaps.
Mind blowing.
That's killer stuff. But yeah, I never saw him play it that way ever, the way it is on the record. So don't kill yourself on it. It can't be done.
Yeah, I know.
There's not enough cocaine, I don't think, that you can do that.
No, I would never. No, I've never done that. That's not. No,
Well, I'm a child of the '80s, so I can tell you, but I shouldn't say that I'm a child of the '60s, but I grew up playing guitar in the '80s. So.
Yeah.
I think we can all say we wish we did. You know,
It was a different time, I'll tell you that. Remember, I was giving guitar lessons when I was a broke working musician. I was at a music store giving guitar lessons, and I had one of my students come in, and I would be gigging Friday nights, and I'd smell like euros and whiskey on Saturday morning. I'd meet the moms, and everything. Like, oh my God, it'd be so ridiculously hungover. The kids loved it. They all wanted to be rock stars, a rock and roll guy. And so I was their mentor. But I remember one of them said, man, I sure am glad I didn't grow up in the 70s and early 80s, because you really had to learn how to play, didn't you? Because this was in the 90s, the grunge 90s when that whole thing was starting. Yeah, because it was a different world. I mean, you had all these, that's where all the shredders started coming from. It's like, my God, these guys can play. I mean, I can't sweep pick if my life depended on it. I don't even understand the concept, for God's sake. I can't sweep pick.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think the exact year I started playing. It was either on my 14th birthday or 15th birthday, so that would have made 91 or 92, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I grew up listening to all the
Hang on, let me figure out how old you are.
Yeah, 77. I was born. There you go. So
Carry the one.
So, I grew up listening to all the Van Halen and stuff, and then obviously when Passion and Warfare came out with Steve Vai, Larry Mitchell's first record, which is very underrated, Mr. Big, and all that stuff. All the just magnificent players.
Yeah.
So when I started playing guitar, that's what I was trying to do, and obviously James Hetfield with the rhythm playing and stuff. But once grunge came in, it almost gave you an excuse not to work on that type of stuff. I mean, it almost gave you an excuse to be a lazy guitar player, for lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I grew up for the shredding. I grew up with Race with the Devil on Spanish Highway, Al Di Meola.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why if you ever watch me play, I try to pick every note. I try to do that. That's why I couldn't sweep if like I said, with my life dependent, I don't do arpeggios, sweepings. I got to play the whole damn thing back and forth. But
wow,
I'm just weird that way.
Yeah, sweeps. I mean, they're cool in moderation. You know what I mean? Like every once in a while, somebody throws one in.
Oh, I wish I could do it. I really do. I wish I would discipline myself to sit down for about a week and figure out how the hell to do it and do it cleanly. But no.
I learned the easiest. I think it was was it a 5-string sweep? Just one. And it's like supposedly one of the easiest ones. It sounds cool, but again, it's like I learned one and I was like, all right, so a sweep. Like, of course I'd love to be able to do it all over the place, but I don't want to be one of those guys that just does all that stuff,
Right. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, as much as I do, it's the only ones I would ever do are like the 3-stringers that Blackmore used to do way back when, Yeah. Anyway, off on a tangent again. I'm known for that. Sorry, guys.
No, but I was, Johnny and I, I've been doing these with Johnny for about 4 years and stuff like that. And I think what makes this show cool is that it's not just like an interview thing where question, answer. We actually get into conversations and talk about stuff,
Yeah.
It's a bullshit session.
Yeah, well, that's what counts anyway.
Podcast.
I dig it. See, I don't know what you guys talked about, so I don't want to like ask, say something, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, we discussed that an hour ago, you idiot."
So Jim, since Jay's jumping in a little late, which is cool, we'll forgive him later. But I really wanted to talk to you about we'll call it theory, right? Because it's not, none of us know.
And we'll never really know, right.
Right. Let's talk about pickups and pots and, equipment. I know you're really good at putting your ear to the equipment that you have and coming up with the closest sound that your ear picks up. And I watched all your videos, and I watched your Tone Talk video as well. And you're pretty persistent and consistent with your theory.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about 78, 79, 80, 81, maybe the 5150 guitar, kind of what your theory is on what he was using and how you've kind of obtained it in some of your videos.
Well, all right. So if you want to start 78, the guitar, the pickup, if you believe what he said, if you take heed of what he said, he ripped the pickup out of his 61 335. A 61 PAF, whether it was the bridge or the neck, Gibson didn't care if one was hotter than the other. They just grabbed him and popped him in, because nobody cared about that. If the guitar balanced, or if it didn't balance, if you were in the middle position or one pickup was louder than the other. So they didn't care. So you might get all right, well, let me backtrack. An 8K wound PAF in that day was pretty rare. That was somebody who fell asleep running the winder.
Friday afternoon.
So if you ever got an overwound 8.2, 8.3K PAF, that's an oddball. Most of them through that era were the 7.5 to 7.8, 7.9K. So they're all under 8K. So if you start with that premise, I mean, also, they were using, Gibson was using A2s. They were using A3s and A4s, but mostly A2s and some A5s, and they were all the long magnet. I don't know if you know the difference between the short magnets and the long magnets. That's a whole nother concept and whole discussion. But in short, what happened in 60 for Gibson, they were always trying to source and supply and everything. So what happened in 60 was they got a bunch of short rough cast A5 magnets. And it's a weaker magnet, has a narrower magnetic field. So the pickup is actually pretty weak. So I started with that premise. So if he truly pulled the pickup out of that ES335 and put it in his ash-bodied Charvel reject body with a maple fingerboard, and I wish I had done the 250K pot, because I've since done that on my guitar, and it made all the difference, like I had talked about earlier before Jay was here. But
before I barged in, messed the flow up.
So when you listen to I think the big mistake that everybody makes when they listen to Van Halen 1 is they hear all this gain. They think they're hearing gain. You're not hearing gain. You're hearing a lot of reverb. You're hearing a lot of compression. It's funny, for those that have recorded, if you take just like a crunch guitar sound, and you compress it properly and EQ it all of a sudden starts to sizzle, and because you're compressing that bandwidth, the whole dynamic range of the guitar is getting squeezed. Mm-hmm. And so you're getting, that's the sound that you're hearing. If you listen to, so in my research, so if you listen to, like, there's the Philadelphia bootleg from 78, and they open up with "I'm the One," or maybe it's the second song. It's "I'm the One." You can find it on YouTube. Go listen to that. Listen how clean that guitar is. Now that's somebody sticking up a recorder in the auditorium, or it's a board mix, whatever it is. Listen how clean that guitar is. It is so clean. There's no grind and fuzz on it. It's just like you're playing through a Fender Twin, damn near. That's the way, right. And that's the way Marshall Super Leads sound. If they're not cranked, they gonk. They go gawk, 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 and they're bright, and that's what they sound like. So if you start with that premise and you start with that pickup, and then you mic it, and you have the same amplifier, the same build, the same general build of a 68 Marshall Super Lead, and then you put a Variac on it, which squishes it out a little bit more when you run it down lower. And the 90-volt thing, I think, is an arbitrary figure. You know, the thing that keeps getting repeated about it was always at 90 volts. I think it was a lot lower than that. I've got a buddy that swears that there was a mark on his Variac that's 67 volts. You know, so this was the sweet spot, but that was later on. But anyway, you throw all that together and you mic it properly and you run it through the proper outboard gear, or in my case, through the proper plugins that are mimicking the outboard gear. You all of a sudden you start to hear that big sound. You start to hear that the more distortion, because you can't play those licks with all that mush and distortion. It's clean. And I tell you what, it's easier to play clean than it is when you've got all that gain and compression coming out of the amp, because you hear everything. When your action is up pretty high and you're picking everything, that's the other thing. Your action should be fairly high on the guitar, because that opens it up and makes it more woody sounding too. It makes it more earthy sounding. When it's too low, you get too much fret slap. And you hear that on the recordings too. So you hear that I hear that on my recording. So I have to force myself, all right, you got to work for it today. You got to raise your action again because we're recording. Because, which
is the last thing a guitar player wants to do is raise their action.
Well, it's true, but that's the way the guitar sounds better. It really
I
does. And that's all part of the trick. So I don't know if I answered your question with 1,000 words or less, but
well, let me piggyback that. Let me just piggyback that, Jim. So basically, what you're saying essentially is that when people are trying to mimic the guitar tone, especially from Van Halen 1, they're trying to get it all out of an amplifier with reverb.
Yep.
And that's not how it was attained.
I learned a lesson a long time ago when I first went out on tour and I was playing my first big theater, and I was using a Marshall 50 watt super lead into another 100 watt as the output, and I was running my effects in between. So I was dummy loading the 50 watt into, simple setup kind of thing.
Hi, Kurt.
And yeah, where'd Kurt go?
Yeah, no, he asked the question. He asked his question.
So anyway, Kurt. So I had a Sennheiser 421 for the guitar mic, so I'm in a 3,000 seat auditorium. At that point in my career, it was the biggest room I'd ever played. And I'm doing sound check, and I've got this massive guitar sound. It sounds so killer on stage coming out of the cabinet. Coming out of the stack, coming out of the speaker cabinet. It's full, it's rich, it's got the effects on it, And the sound man comes over to me, he goes, "Can you back the bass off?" I said, "Well, no." And he goes, so I walk out front, I'm wireless. I walk out front, and it sounds like complete and utter dog shit coming out of the PA. Just horrible. So I learned early on that the sound that you hear coming out of your home stereo or your car stereo is not what the guitar amp really sounded like when it was being recorded. I mean, there's the basic sound, there's the basic tonality. You're not doing a lot of EQ adjustment and all that stuff. So there's the basic tonality, but all that gain and everything that you hear, it's not coming out of the amp. Not if you want it to have any kind of clarity on the recording. And that's one of the magic points about the whole Van Halen sound, is that it's really, really clean. Really clean. Did I answer it? You were gone.
Yeah, Kurt. Nice of you.
I heard it. I had to feed the dogs. I was literally gone 40 seconds.
I was an hour late, and you're the one that was.
And I hadn't stopped talking yet. See?
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead, Johnny.
And I totally agree. I hate to say it, but yeah, I've said that for years on this channel, that tone is super clean, and a lot of what you hear on that album, it's magic. It's not what was heard in that studio.
I wouldn't say, that's what, it's funny because that's what the amp sounds like. Microphones don't hear the way your ear hears. So when you're close miking a 12-inch speaker, I mean, stick your ear down there.
Yeah.
And see what it does
Turn
to
it-
your ear. There's a lot of sound pressure.
Don't leave it blasting when you do that, but you know.
Well, but that's what it is. So that's the other
Yeah,
thing. That's the other thing. You got to move air to get that sound. But microphones don't hear. But then when you put up a room mic, you know, when you listen to the room mic by itself, yeah, the guitar kind of has that sound as you're getting some natural delay within the room and everything. You kind of it starts to come together. You're hearing reflections coming off the walls, and the mic is picking all that up. So you're getting some of that gain like that. One of the good examples of that is when you listen to the Sunset Sound with Brian how do you pronounce his name? Kehoe.
Brian Kehoe.
Kehoe. He's doing the Sunset Sound series, and they've got the room mic set up with the eruption take.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's what the room mic sounds like. But that's not what the SM57 in front of the speaker cabinet sounds like. It's a little bit different. So blending all that together, and that's a whole nother thing. You guys, I'm sure you guys know who Mike Himmel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Mike and I have been talking about the sound in the room. It's been a big thing, and I wanted to include this in the upcoming Women and Children First video, but it's already become such a monumental thing. What I did is I've got the drum kit back here. Mike and I had theorized that when they recorded, they were always in the same room. Now, yeah, they use gobos and sound, sound deadening between all the instruments, but you can hear the drums bleeding through. You can hear the guitar bleeding through the drum tracks. You can hear all that. So we theorized that the bottom end is super elusive on the Van Halen guitar sound recorded. It's hard to get that. And part of that is the room, that Sunset Sound. And it's also the 14 open microphones on the drum kit. So you've got a room mic, you've got a U47 or a 67 as a room mic. Then you've got 3 overheads on the drum kit. And you've got snare top and bottom, toms top and bottom. And all those mics are open and they're capturing the guitar. So that was the experiment. And I wanted to include it. So when I was recording initially, it got to be too much. Sorry. But I'll do that in another video. But so when I was recording guitar parts, every time I pushed record, I was recording 16 tracks at a time. I was recording the whole room, all of those mics on the drum kit in this room. And I had the drum kit EQ'd to make it sound good on tape or on the recording, so that those mics, and certain things, the snare might have been a little gated and things. So I set the drum kit up the way the drum kit would be set up in the studio and mic'd it that way, and then recorded all my guitar parts with all of those open mic channels.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. That's part of the sound. That's part of where that mysterious fullness comes from in the Van Halen sound. So the best way to mimic that without doing all of that, without miking up a drum kit and recording that many tracks every time, because you got to have a pretty powerful computer to do that too, because it starts to choke. Use the IK Multimedia Sunset Sound Reverb and set up a send channel for the room. Sunset Sound Studio 2 position 3, and then mix a hair of that in, and you get some of that elusive fullness that you can't get just from the close mics that you mic in the speaker cabinet, the 4x12 with. So,
Jim, do you know Cameron Brown, guitar player from Scotland?
I don't think so.
Okay, because he's one of those guys that can get a lot of that Eddie Van Halen stuff, and he recently got the Sunset Sound plugin, and he sent me a clip a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Dude, listen to this," and he's like, "This plugin is ridiculous."
It is. It's awesome. I use the plates. There's 2 plate reverbs. There's an echo plate and an EMP 140. There's the chambers. You got a chamber for a Studio 1, Studio 2, and Studio 3. They all sound different. You got high pass, low pass filters on them. You got pre-delay on all of them. And then you've got the rooms. You've got the ISO
Right.
booths, you got the rooms. I love
Room
it. I
one,
love
room
that.
two.
Yep. So what I do is I send it to a bus. So I send the guitar signal to a bus, and I have it set up for Studio 2, because that's where Van Halen did most of their stuff, is in the big room, Studio 2. With there's 3 mic positions, 3 room mic positions you can choose from, and it's listed right there in the literature on the IK multimedia thing, is that they used position 3. So the U47 or the U67 was set up in position 3. So you just click on that. You click on position 3. It's sampled from the room of Studio 2 in that position, and you just blend a little bit of that into your track, and it brings that fullness to the track. And it's subtle, but it helps a great deal. It's a lot easier than setting up the 14 mics on the drum kit.
Yeah.
And making sure everything is phased correctly and all that.
Oh yeah, that's the bitch right there.
Yeah. So
Right. Well, Jay, that's why I'm glad you joined, because Jay, he mixes.
No,
Not
cool.
only was he a
Very
guitarist in a band, but he's got an ear for all this. And I knew the two of you once you met each other.
Not as
you guys would
thorough
be
as
on the same
Jim's,
page.
obviously, but not as thorough as Jim's. But you know.
I'm a bit of a nut job, but it's well, it's when
So you have to be though for you have to be for a lot of this stuff. I mean, I've recorded let's see, I'm trying to think. The most microphones I've recorded on a drum kit was 21.
Yikes.
And it's a pain in the ass, because
Yes,
it's
it
like
is.
it's that you're like, oh, we're doing all these drums, all these mics, but a million things can go wrong. And next thing you know, you're tracking a song, and you're like, the hell is that? What's rattling? You know? And you get
Who's snoring?
Yeah, it's just there's so many things that can go wrong. My favorite thing about recording is usually drums, but then once you're like a song or two in, it's like you can't wait for the drums to be over, because a drum goes out of tune a little bit, and you're like, yeah, it's a nightmare.
And then you're recording live in the studio with the band, and the guitar player goes, "Hey, can we punch that?" And you got cymbal wash all over the goddamn place.
Oh,
Hey, can we punch in right here? And you guys, oh, for God's sakes, let me find a clean place to get you in and get you out, because you got cymbal wash. And you can actually hear that. I think it's on Running with the Devil. You can hear a punch on Running with the Devil, because the cymbal wash changes.
Yeah, if you're not hitting the same cymbal on a part or something, there's a lot of times like, dude, what cymbal were you hitting? Okay, you got to figure it out. Which one?
It is. It's a thing. So I learned that because I came up in the old analog days, recording on 24 track, 2-inch 24 track. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's a totally different world, and that's kind of the way I like to approach what I'm doing here too. Is like I'm in a 24 track analog studio, and that's why I try to record it live. I try to record it in one pass, not a lot of fixing going on. Just leave the warts and all, just play it and do it, because that's part of the magic too. The drags and the pushes and all that stuff. That's part of it.
Johnny and I have talked about this a bunch of times, and Kurt likes hearing crap like this too. But obviously in the digital realm of recording, when you can see everything nowadays, it's so hard not to fix things, because it's not like when you're hearing something. If you're not hearing it with a click track, like you said, the push and pull,
I hate them. I won't do it.
The natural human feel of a song, and sometimes you little speed up on a chorus or something, and you pull back there, like that stuff. It sounds natural in the context of a song when you're listening to it, but all of a sudden when you're seeing stuff, like, oh, the drummer right here, he sped up a little bit, we got to fix that. It's like, oh, it's so hard not to sometimes.
No, you don't. I mean, Rick Beato, I think it was Rick Beato. He does that. Yeah. He does that. I think it's Bonham's "Fool in the Rain." Mm-hmm. Where he plays the isolated "Fool in the Rain" drum track, and then he quantizes it and puts it on the grid, puts it on the click. It destroys the feel, completely destroys the feel, and I think
it's sterile.
It's a big part of what's wrong with modern rock. Is everything's on the grid, everything is a click, and it's you might as well program a drum machine. Screw it. Right. That's the beauty of Van Halen. Listen to Romeo Delight. They're all over the friggin' map on that song. They're up and down, push, pull. They're coming out of that bridge break where he's spanking the low E on the humbucker, getting the tick, 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 and the thing is ready to feed back, and they're all coming in. it's a cluster when they're coming back in, because it's like everybody's looking at Al. Okay, let's go, and it's like
it's all
bang,
feel.
and they're in.
Hear it.
All feel.
Yeah, it's all feel, and they're just all looking at each other. They're not counting it. They're not going, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, click, click, click. Nonsense. Nonsense.
No,
Sound like
it's,
the old
it's cool.
grandpa here. Nonsense.
Get off my lawn.
Right.
Yeah.
There's somebody walking on my. Hang on, let me go get my Winchester. Hang on.
Yeah.
I am
No,
in
and-
the South, you know. I can go get my Winchester for God's sake.
Oh,
And Jim,
Wait,
I think.
We're in the South.
Yeah, we don't want to get into
Nashville.
firearms, but I think
okay.
Eddie kind of had a, I guess we'll call it a rule. He wouldn't go over 3 or 4 takes, because he felt like if anything over that, you were trying too hard and you lose that feel.
You lose the magic, and I make myself stop too. Like when I'm doing these videos, I start. You get hypercritical. You listen back and you say, "Fuck," It's like what the hell's Alan gonna say?
Yeah.
I missed it. Sorry, Alan. I love you. I really do. And I really do. I
Alan
really
has some
honestly
ear,
do.
man. Alan has some ear.
Yeah, we love you.
Again, that's the beauty and the curse of like tracking yourself is like,
Yep.
You'll notice some tiny little thing, even if it sounds good. You're like, well, I know I didn't fret it entirely right, so I'm gonna re-record it because I'll always know that I messed. It's like, what are you doing?
I mean, listen to Ed's ISO tracks. I mean, I know we all have. He's up and down tempo wise. He misses notes constantly. But that's part of the groove. That's part of the magic. Just listen to that isolation track on Romeo Delight. I know I've heard it about 6,000 times now in the last week and a half. And then I've heard me playing it that many times and recording it and playing it back. And it's kind of a mess. I mean, it's magical, but it's kind of a mess. And if you put that on the grid, it wouldn't sound anything like. And if you fixed his mistakes, it would lose the magic. It would lose the personality. Yeah. So I really try to do that when I'm doing these videos. Is I try to one take them as often as possible. And if I have to run it again, and I keep screwing up, 3 is my maximum. If it takes me 3 takes and I don't get it, I move on. I move on to something else, and I'll come back to it another time. It's just you lose. It gets stale. You lose the feel and the groove.
We've had this I don't want to say argument, but we've had this talk about who plays to who in Van Halen, and I think especially after you watch like Live Without a Net, right? I think that Al plays to Eddie because Eddie has great timing, great rhythm. And there's a lot of times where Eddie will like look back at him and he'll pull Al back a little bit like, hey, let's.
Well, my brother being the drummer, and we covered this before you came in, but we have a similar story, similar upbringing. Mm-hmm. And my brother used to notice live, Al would stand up on his drum riser and yell at Ed to like, slow the fuck down. And he would tell him that he would say, slow it down, you're pushing, because those guys, the amount of cocaine that those guys, it's hard not to be off to the races. But I think you even see it in, I think it's in Live Without a Net. You see Al say something to Ed, like slow it down. I think it might be Summer Nights, or it's one of those where he leans over the drum kit and he's saying something to Ed, like, calm down. Because Ed used to be off to the races all the time. So I think it went both ways. I don't think Al played to Mike.
No.
I think Al played I think they interacted. I think that's the best way to say it.
Well, the eye contact is, especially the beginning of Get Up, when Eddie walks over and he's playing the intro. All of a sudden, Alex comes flying in and Eddie's like, oh, shit. Here we go. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
And if you
that's
notice,
a DNA chain. DNA chain.
Yeah. And if you notice watching that song, right? Eddie does not move from next to Alex until the end of the song when he runs up with Mike and Sammy at the very end.
Can you play to that friggin' drum beat?
That thing is, they're floating on that song, man.
Oh, it's
floating.
nuts. I mean, you think Hopper Teacher is wild. That thing is nuts. I mean, that song is just nutty. Wacky nutty.
That's why Eddie's standing where he always is on stage. Is Al's right there.
Yep.
But the eye contact is a big thing for anybody that's, you know, been in a band, not even just playing live, but even, you know, like just jamming.
Well,
you know,
and that's in my Van Halen tribute thing. I hate to call it a tribute, cover band, whatever. You know, you can see some of our videos on YouTube too. But the bass player, who's a great friend of mine, he's been so used to being stage left, and it's like, I don't want to be stage left because I want to look over the hi-hat at my brother, because I can't see him through his crash cymbals, tom, and ride. I want to be able to look at the hi-hat gap. Seriously. But Daryl, the bass player, goes, I got to look at John. I got to look at your brother. It's like, well, all right, so I'll stand stage right. I look like the odd man out, but whatever. Yeah. So no sour grapes, but I would rather be looking directly and making the eye contact with the drummer, especially since he's my brother, you know?
Yeah.
So, and we grew up playing together. So,
yeah, there's that connection that you just can't explain to people when you've been playing with some, especially if like Kurt said, the DNA chain thing.
Yep.
Like,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Sometimes you just a little eye contact and you instantly know.
Oh, it's an instant look, you know, way back in the old days. We rehearsed
back in my day.
We rehearsed when I was a young guy. We rehearsed you missed the whole story. We were my brother and I were pretty poor. We grew up pretty poor, and we rehearsed at our rich friends. His father was a lawyer, a successful lawyer, and they had this 3-story brick mansion with the huge columns out front, and we got the whole basement. And my brother, this singer was a good guy, but his tempo was terrible. So my brother would get pissed because this guy was playing rhythm guitar and singing, and I was playing lead. And my brother would get pissed. He'd tap your fucking foot. And he'd finally get so mad, he'd come out and chase me up the stairs. He'd say, take your guitar off, because I'm going to kick your ass. And I said, what the fuck did I do? And so he would later explain, I couldn't beat up Bill, the singer, because we rehearsed there. I had to take my frustration out on you because you're my brother.
I had to beat somebody up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd get chunks of cymbal. He'd hit the drum so hard, he'd crack the brass, and a piece of brass would hit me in the back of the head. Yeah, those were the good days.
And one thing cool about Sammy Hagar, he used to say that when he first started with Van Halen in, 85, 86, Ed used to tap on the Sammy's foot so he could keep up with Ed's rhythm and know where he was going.
Yeah.
In the studio.
I believe it. That's wild.
And Jay, before you got on, Jim, he had a small stint in Chicago. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I was there. Well, actually, I was there for like 10, 12 years. But
when?
I used to play at Reggie's. That's how I started this Van Halen thing. You know Reggie's on South State?
Played at Reggie's, yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah, I've been there.
So they do Mitch, the owner, he does classic albums live on the last Thursday of every night or every month. Last Thursday of every month, they do classic albums live, and your job is to come in and play one classic album front to back, and then you're done. So my neighbor was the marketing director for Reggie's, and he, we used to sit out in the backyard, and he'd hear me wanking away on the guitar, and he goes,
"Wanking?
You play that Van Halen stuff, don't you?" I said, I know my way around it. I dabble in a little bit of it. Back then, I just kind of did. I mean, I hadn't done the deep dive. Yeah, I had played the songs throughout the years, but I had never actually sat down and really learned it, front to back, all the nuance and the detail. But yeah, I could fake my way through it. So he says, we do this thing down at Reggie's, and it's a classic albums, and nobody's ever had the guts to do Van Halen. I know you can do it. And this was springtime, and I didn't have a band. I had kind of retired from playing Foley. I mean, I just kind of wanked on my own kind of thing.
Hey, I do the same thing. Oh, we're talking guitar. Sorry. Sorry.
And
Foley.
double entendre. But I was, so it's springtime, and he goes, all right, I'm going to get you booked. I said, whoa, wait a minute. I don't even have a band. So he goes, all right, well, I'll give you. So anyway, long story short, he goes, you're booked for October. And you're doing Van Halen 1. I'm going, okay, I don't have a singer. I don't have a bass player. Let me call my brother, see if he's willing to play the drums, because he had long since retired. He's like a golf pro. So we do it, and we threw the band together. That's why I had an identical setup of my rig in Wisconsin, so I could go back and forth. I wouldn't have to haul stuff back and forth from Chicago to Wisconsin, because those guys all lived up in Wisconsin, the Madison area. So, and we found actually my future son-in-law I recruited him to sing.
Oh boy.
And he was having a hard time. He's much younger. He loved the vibe of Van Halen, but doing David Lee Roth is a whole swagger and a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a mutiny before the gig by my brother and Daryl, the bass player. They said, we're not going to go on with Angelo. We're not going to play. It's like, I said, nobody gives a crap. Nobody cares. Everybody is there to see. I hate to say it. Everybody wants to see me fuck up, or they want to see if I can pull it off or I can fuck up, and that's what it was. And it was a smashing success. So we've got a standing invite to come back anytime we want. We've played there. We've done multiple albums and multiple shows. We did Van Halen 2 then, and we went in and we did Fair Warning. We came back and we did the live sets from the '78 tour. I mean, we've done a lot of just that at Reggie's. So just because it's a good time, and we always bring in a pretty good crowd when we do the Van Halen crap. So.
You see what Jim said, everybody watching, what Jim said, the way he that might be construed as, hey, everyone's there to see me. But we have a buddy, we have a buddy, Caleb, who's in a Van Halen tribute band, Nerd Halen, right?
Yeah.
And he and I have talked about it. Everybody in that band, in a Van Halen tribute band, can do it, right? Everybody can.
There's a lot. Yeah.
But if the guitar player isn't playing that stuff up to snuff, people are going to be looking around at each other like, what are they playing? What are these guys doing? So everybody else has a little bit of leeway. You can all right. But the guitar's got to be on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's where I started. Before I started the video series, that's when I put together the rig. That I had always had the Marshall rig and that, like we had talked about before, but that's where I put together the actual. Our claim to fame was with this tribute band was we're going to do it as accurately as possible with the equipment they did it with, and at the volume they did it at. Seriously, and we did, and I would go into Reggie's and I would play.
Toupees are flying off.
I would, and so you're familiar with Reggie. So we'd be in the music joint, the smaller side, the joint. You got the venue.
We played there once, and I think it was either 2005 or 6. So
they got the venue on one side, then they've got the music joint, and that's where the classic albums. And the joint is like CBGB's. It's the coolest rock club. It's a super cool rock club, and so the stage is tiny. I think their whole light rig consists of 2 red lights.
It's 2 guys up there with one guy with flashlights up there.
So you sit up there. There's no scene changes or anything. You sit up there and you play your ass off, and you play it the way it is. So I'd go in there with a full stack and a 100-watt Marshall, non-master Marshall. I cranked the variac down to about 78 volts, something like that. And we'd go. And the bass player's got an SVT stack, a couple of the cabinets. She's got two of the 8x10 SVT cabs. And I had given him a what was the Altair power attenuator? Do you guys remember that thing from the early 80s? It was about this big. And if you looked inside it looked like a toaster. It had a bunch of metal coils in it.
Coils.
And it had a big stove knob that clicked on it. It was called the Altair power attenuator. I found one for him because, the SVT is a 300 watt amp. And like any good bass player that I'll ever play with, he wants to play a big old tube amp, play it loud, and get that natural tube breakup, because you got to get that growl with the bass.
Yeah, tube is
Right.
So I got him. I found this thing on eBay or something, this power attenuator. It's the main part of his rig because he cranks that SVT and he knocks it back a little bit with the attenuator, and he gets that running with the devil, that grind, that. So that was our thing, and we're gonna play it the way it was done, and it was a lot of fun. And we're on hiatus, COVID, all that crap, but we haven't done one since.
So what years were you out in Chicago?
I moved there in 98, 99.
Oh, okay.
And I've been in Nashville here for probably 9 years now. I've been in Nashville.
So you're in Nashville. I have a buddy who was actually on one of the shows that we do on this channel. Is an engineer, mixer, Mark Lewis. He does like metal stuff. I didn't know.
Everybody here is in the business. So
okay, yeah, I figured you're in Nashville. He's in Nashville. I'd throw it out.
Everybody here is in the business. There's that lawyer.
Bob
that
Smith
works in the entertainment industry. It's everybody you meet is like.
a
Not
producer.
too long ago, I was bumping elbows with Vince Gill at a small restaurant in Franklin.
Bumping
Yeah,
stomach.
Nashville's awesome.
Yeah,
Cameron Brown in the house. He just jumped in. What's up,
Hey,
Cameron?
Cameron, we were just talking crap about you. I mean, we were talking very, very kindly about you, Cameron.
Hey, Cameron. Hey, man.
Johnny, I'm going to do a quick
Man.
unboxing.
Cool. Unboxing, and then we're giving away that strap.
On.
I didn't hear that.
What do you have there, Kurt? Can I see your address?
Yeah, show the address.
Address.
Oh, don't hurt us.
They know.
Holy cow!
I love you, Kurt.
Anybody?
It was Alan.
Yeah, come here, Garber.
Stop it now! Stop! I love Alan. I really do.
We love Alan.
He's a genius.
All right, so I got a gift here from Fairfield Guitars, who produced the 78, we'll call it bomber strap, gunner strap guitar.
Oh my gosh.
Giving away a strap
Give
tonight.
it away now.
Oh,
You better be careful.
Away.
Echo.
Giving. Oh my gosh.
Well, your internet is just
He was kind
phenomenal.
enough to send me a promotional package tonight.
Package. Yeah, we can tell what that is. Kurt, man.
Yeah.
If you could always see what we see.
Yeah, probably a bunch of blurry shit.
My eyes, they ain't so good.
My glasses.
Kurt, send it to me and I'll unbox it.
Here we go. Bomber strap. 5150 number.
Ooh.
Oh. Sorry,
Yeah.
Alan.
We'll have to take your word for it, Kurt.
51 out of 50. Bomber strap for
Nice. Kurt's pixels are sharp, like Boner Jam's haircut.
my 78 replica. So
Is that what that is? We can't see
There
it. Kidding. Jim left.
BL, eat your heart
Did
out.
he?
Jim couldn't take the internet. He split.
Jim's going to get some more whiskey.
It's like I can't even see what this guy's showing.
R2R3 wants to know if this is 4K. It's 0.4K.
Can you see that, Jay?
Dude, your internet was great like 20 minutes ago. All right, show it now. Show it now. Show it now.
There
You're
it
clear
is.
For a minute.
You can see it now.
You're clear for a minute. Show it.
Look at that.
Wow, look at dude.
I'd come and steal that from you, but I'm a little afraid of your knife.
Yeah.
Oh,
There it is. Look at
oh,
that.
we're getting phone calls.
Sorry, my dog was going nutty outside. I got some coyotes in the area. I want to see what he was up
Oh,
to.
Oh.
Jim, that's
Hello.
my specialty.
Hey, Johnny, it's Kurt with a C.
Hey, Kurt with a C. Hello.
Ask Kurt with a K if that was a hostage video from Ukraine that I
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's dark.
Please
That's
ask him.
dark.
Ask him.
Oh,
Kurt with a C. I wouldn't take a knife. I wouldn't take a knife to a gunfight.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Knife.
That's a
that's
knife.
not a knife.
Bloody bastard.
Crikey.
Anyway, Lewis from Fairfield Guitars, thank you so much for the strap. I love it. And like Johnny said, we're giving away a Bumblebee strap. He's also doing Eddie's
Oh my God, it's clear.
79 80 Frankenstein Strat with the black and red tape. He's also doing a 5150. So more to come. This is the
Nice.
last run on the 100 that he did. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Well, Lewis from what's the strap company?
Fairfield Guitar Company.
Lewis from Fairfield Guitar Company. Maybe the next time Kurt does an unboxing, you could not only send him a strap, but you could upgrade his internet for the day.
See, that I need that right here. I need that on this one.
Oh, he's gonna have to make another. He's got to make another one.
Gotta give
Well,
me a
we're
strap.
going to use this strap on both of those guitars.
I know he did. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you got to keep these loose, by the way, which I will detail in the Women and Children First video.
That's the key to tone. Suck it, Jay.
Tone.
Very cool.
Suck
I don't
it,
mean
Jay.
to bust your balls so much, Kurt. I apologize, man. No, I don't.
No, it's
That's
cool.
okay.
I don't take it seriously.
I know that's why I do it. By the way, Kurt, I unboxed. Kurt sent me something last week, and for like 5 minutes, I didn't know who sent them. But Kurt sent me. He knows I'm a huge Metallica fan, obviously, and James Hetfield's rhythm playing from back in the day. So Kurt was cool enough to send me some Hetfield signature.
Oh
picks.
yeah,
Yeah.
Very cool.
that's right. You opened those. You had no idea
Kurt
who
with
that
a
was
C.
from.
Way to go.
Oh yeah, Curtsy. No. So Kurt sent me those, and I gotta say, because I use these picks. I'll show you guys in a second. I use the Dunlop Tortex with the Jazz 3 tip,
Mhm.
and the Hetfield ones are the Ultex material with the Jazz 3 tip. So it's basically the same pick. It doesn't have, for anybody that's used the Tortex picks, they have a slight curve to them. I don't
Oh,
know if you can see it. It's crooked like my nose a little bit. But these ones don't have it. But these picks are actually really, really good. I'm kind of impressed. So,
cool.
thanks, Kurt.
You're welcome. Thanks for busting my balls.
Appreciate that.
And Jim, check this out. Look at how that fits.
That's what she said.
Nice. Look at that.
Perfect.
Yeah, look at that. Very nice.
There it is. Very cool.
You know, that's a thing that you do in the studio, so you don't hear all that clatter. Unless
Clang
you want
banging.
the clatter. The clang banging of the the dog chain clips and all that stuff. You use a regular, just strap it on.
Yep, the
That's
old
what she used to
leather to steel.
Yep. Because it creates a
That's
lot of
what Jay
noise when you're
does.
recording.
Except for it's a gag ball.
Oh my gosh.
I hear. I don't know. I hear.
Yeah,
Ball
unofficially.
What about a ball gag? So I'm watching this guitar show, and these guys start talking about a friggin' ball gag. It's like,
Jim, what the hell kind of show are you on? Imagine like one of your friends or something just tuned into this at that moment.
now, next thing you know, I'm gonna start talking about the Kong butt plug or something.
Sorry, Alan.
Well, we just tell people that those are our dogs' toys. We don't know what those are.
That's right.
Yeah.
You fill it with peanut butter, right?
Yeah, warm peanut butter.
Yeah, so
Nutella.
Santa Cruz 3600, it does fit over my eye bolt on the back end.
Oh my gosh.
Good deal.
Yeah. So are we're giving this
and
away,
Lewis-
huh?
He did a run of 50 earlier, which Johnny has one, and then he did another 50. And I think last time I talked to him, he bought the last 50 of those military class gunners class. He bought the last run that they had. So his last 50 he sold,
Wow.
they're all sold out. So yeah, he's giving away the Bumblebee one
Dang.
tonight, which
Yeah. Is he here?
you know,
Wait, are you? Wait,
Yeah,
I
he's
think
walking.
Lewis. I think he's WhatsApping me.
yeah, he's
that-
watching. For some reason,
that
he couldn't get tuned in.
He
On
can't get
YouTube.
on YouTube for some reason, but he's watching.
Yeah, he's
Thanks,
probably
Johnny.
pissed
I'm here.
that Kurt tried to show off his strap and nobody could see what it really looked like.
He's actually not. He's pissed at Jay for all the shit talking that he's doing more than anything.
Wouldn't surprise
Oh,
me
my
either.
God. Wow. All right. So we're giving this away. Thank you to Lewis. Oh, I see you. Okay, Lewis. He just sent me a message. Lewis. It's where is it again?
FairfieldGuitars.com. Check him out
Fair-
on Instagram and
Fairfield Guitars.
Facebook.
All right. So we're gonna give this away. Thank you to Fairfield Guitars. Thank you to Lewis.
And it comes with the guitar, right, Lewis?
Is it the guitar too?
I thought it's
And the
one
and the
package.
and the picnic table?
Yeah, and the
And the outside and the leaves and the dirt. Everything's seen here in this picture.
comes with it.
Wow. That's quite a deal. Where do I sign up?
Yeah. Hashtag picnic table to win.
Oh, Fairfield Guitar, no website, Insta only, he says. So he only has Instagram.
That's all you need.
That's all I need. All right. So here's, hopefully I'm doing this right. Hopefully.
We rolling the dice now?
Yeah.
Wow, we already got 47.
What?
We-
Oh yeah, we got 47 entries here. All
At
right,
the
you
risk
guys.
of sounding like an old misogynistic bastard. Do we have a cute girl that can spin the thing and do the drawing? Do we have that?
Well, you can. Yeah, you can choose. You can choose from.
There we go.
There's 4 there, 3 there, or 3 there. You can pick.
Well,
That's
If
kind
you
of a
had
rough
to pick.
crowd there.
If you had to pick.
Everybody likes the bottom right,
yeah, that's probably.
which actually there she is.
Yeah, I'd throw one in her.
Oh!
Jim, I didn't know you liked me so much.
Oh, well, we used to have a thing called Code of the Road, and time zones multiplied the ugly factor and all that stuff. So anyway,
Oh my god!
man,
We've only just met.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the way it always works, though.
Yeah.
Bottom right, she shaves up nice.
And our buddy Cobra Kai Platoon, he's in the chat. He's the one who does all the awesome stuff like
The
that.
graphics.
Oh, he's
Cobra
the
Kai.
man.
Yeah.
Thanks
Cobra
for making
Kai.
me, thanks for making everybody want to bang me.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
You banged me.
Yeah.
Cobra Kai, thank you for everything you've done, man. He's done all kinds of stuff. All
Yeah,
kinds of
that's
stuff
cool.
here.
Good stuff.
You know, all
Yeah,
kinds
my
of.
wife took a picture of Jay, and she was like, "I'd do him or her."
I don't want to hear that. It's your wife, dude.
All right. All right. Everybody ready?
Ready.
Here we go. This is for the 79 replica Bumblebee guitar strap.
Last chance to enter.
Last
Hashtag
chance.
win. Hurry up. Go, 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 go.
Hurry.
Yeah, Boner Jam's in at the last minute.
That's you. That's his MO.
Yep.
All right.
Boner
is.
Jam in at the last minute. I don't know.
All right.
Mr. Mick. Congratulations, man. You just won the strap
And the guitar and the
and
picnic
the guitar
table
and the table and
pin.
the leaves.
Mr. Mick, message Johnny, then Johnny will message me, and then I'll message Fairfield Guitars.
And then the shipping for that picnic table is going to be about $500.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, Mr.
Awesome.
Mick, yeah, you can just message me because I've got Fairfield Guitars right here. So
Hey,
just send.
Can I give a couple of thoroughbreds away on this show?
Sure.
You can give anything away you want. Here we go.
All right, let's have a
There-
drawing for a couple of thoroughbreds.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
shipping is $6,000.
There you go.
I may pay it.
Okay. Here, we'll spin
Well-
again. Here's for a thoroughbred.
Luis from Fairfield Guitars, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Mr. Mick, send me a message. Send me a message right there. 415-952-3263.
Leo says Jim is talking women and horses first.
Now that was the unknown third or fourth album, 4.5 album, something like that.
Awesome. Wow.
Yep.
Man,
That
this
was
has been great.
exciting. That was exciting.
Yes.
I'm pissed I missed the first hour.
Ah.
Yeah, our
Well-
blood sugar's getting a little low now. We're all getting a little calmed down. So
Yeah, Jay's kind of a buzz bomb anyway.
yeah, but he's cute without the beard.
Yeah, man. Just get me a wig and shave me, and
You should see him with a vacuum. It's
You know-
unbelievable.
Did I meet you one night in Indianapolis? I don't know.
in the at the rest stop, the truck stop.
No, at the Vogue.
Oh,
All right. Mr. Mick, thank you, man. All right. I've got his address. I'll send it. Send it to. We'll actually do this right now. Where is he? This is you right there. All right. There you go. All done.
Awesome.
I
Golf
hope that
clap.
was you. All right. So and
Next, we're going to give away a little Eddie Van Halen in a can.
Oh, I used to use that stuff years ago. That stuff's awesome.
Yeah, especially when you take the lighter to it and you spray it.
hey, wait a second before we
Oh my gosh.
before we go Splitsville here.
Jay?
Ew.
Oh, that's right. There's the vacuum.
Little Freddie.
That's Jay as well.
Oh,
Our buddy the Chad is at the.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Can he not get reception in there?
Want me to ask him if
That
he,
happened last time. We tried going live another
let
time.
me see the mic position on that cabinet again.
Oh yeah.
Right up
That's
in that
there.
business.
That's in there tight. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Buck tight. Yeah. Let me
Buck-
text him.
Just Bucknoff right up in there.
Yeah, Gary Bucknoff.
As my
Have
old
they
buddy
started?
used to say, my old buddy who mixed for Elton John for 100 years, he'd say it's balls deep.
Yep. All the way to the base.
We've degenerated to that, I guess.
Yeah, you should see Tuesdays.
So Jim, you got Women and Children First dropping here soon.
Yeah, I'm getting. I keep saying it, but I'm getting very, very, very close. So I have to. I've got the keyboard parts done. I got all the acoustic guitar stuff done. You know, the Take Your Whiskey Home intro, the Women and Children First slide part. All that stuff's done. Just got to finish up. I got Loss of Control done, and
Oh, wow.
Tora, and you know all
Nice.
of that, all of that nonsense with which Johnny did years ago, right?
Yeah, but
The
man,
Tora bit.
yeah, the way that happened was I used to rent like 4-track recorders back in the day. You could rent them by like the weekend from places, and I would go and record all my stuff, but just for fun, I would listen to Van Halen tapes backwards, just because, you know. And all of a sudden that came in, and I'm like, wait a minute.
You were listening for satanic messages, right?
Probably, yeah. I was listening, yeah. So anyway, that's how I discovered that, was by hearing that, and back in the 80s. And yeah, I did a video years ago. Oh, so he's playing right now. Awesome.
He's live right now. Yep.
Awesome.
I saw him in Birmingham when he fell off the tour bus and broke his foot.
Oh,
Oh, man.
I was there for that gig. Yeah, that was went down there to see him. It's only Birmingham, or I'm sorry, Huntsville, not Birmingham, Huntsville, Alabama, because Huntsville is like an hour and a half drive for me. So I went to go check him out down there, and sure enough, I see him when he's sitting in the chair for the whole damn thing. It was all right. It was good. He did a good job.
Nerd Halen in the chat.
Nerd Halen.
So
Let's see
Jim,
if he's
out of the
still
4
good.
albums you've done, what's been your favorite to do so far?
You know, Fair Warning was monumental to me. Trying to figure that one out was quite a thing, and I went into a lot of detail on that one. You know, with the amplifier, you know, opening up the amp on the bench and all that stuff. That to me, that was the kind of the quintessential Brown sound thing, because that's you know, Fair Warning is that album that's the direction changer for those guys. But it's kind of, you know, it's kind of like that moment in time, because then Diver Down is nothing like it, and 84 is nothing like it. So you got that sitting there. Fair Warning is kind of all by itself, you know.
Yep.
A lot of people say that Women and Children First is the gateway album to Fair Warning. As far as recording technique goes, I think it's closer to the first two. Fair Warning is much different, a lot of different changes, but you're going to get a kick out of Women and Children First. There's so many different things in it that I'm excited to drop this one.
Cool.
This one has been ridiculously hard, and I'm deathly afraid of doing 1984, because that's when he had his own studio, and there's so many different sounds on that, so many different sounds on 84. So I'll need the Ripley. I need the two Music Man combos.
Dude, let's get David Allen right. He's in Nashville, isn't he?
Yep. No, I can get them. I'm not worried about that. The Ripley is what I'm worried about, getting the Ripley. But
Well, David Allen Wright has 20 of them.
oh, does he really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Message him.
Talk about
True.
obsession. Jeez.
Oh,
After this
are you
video,
kidding me?
Sorry,
That's
Alan.
putting it lightly. Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question,
What?
I would have to say it was Fair Warning. It was cool to knock off Van Halen 1, but it was Fair Warning was the coolest one yet so far for me.
Cool.
I don't want to get you flagged because of the audio, but there's I'll keep talking. How about that over top of it so you can't.
Is that live or is that filmed?
He just recorded this, just sent it to me now.
Oh,
So
okay,
that's,
cool.
Yeah. I'll keep
That's
talking
cool.
every couple seconds.
The chat.
Hey now.
We can't.
Hey
hear it.
now.
Hey now.
Hey, now I can't even hear it.
Clip your
Yeah, I don't even
fingernails,
hear
Jay.
Okay, good. He's
Dude,
rocking,
you
man.
need a manicure.
Yeah, you
I just
do
cut my
need a
nails
manicure,
today. I just cut my nails today. What are you talking
Jay. Just busting your balls.
Awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Chad.
Awesome.
Wow. So when are you going to do 0812? That's the big question.
Eventually I'm gonna quit doing this. I'm gonna post some original stuff coming up here pretty soon from the old tour days and the rock stuff that I was doing after the Depeche Mode meets Van Halen thing. So
Right.
that's more in the Van Halen vein kind of thing. So I'm going to post some of that, and we'll see how far it goes. When you start getting into the Soldano and the 5150, I love the band. I love the music. I love Van Halen top to bottom. But to me, the coaxing the cool sounds out of the old mismatched crap is, to me, the most fun. When you start getting racks full of ultra harmonizers or 949 harmonizers, and and you got every trick in the book, and you're playing through your signature stuff, and you're in your own studio. It starts to become Fleetwood Mac at that point. You've got the world at your fingertips to do whatever the hell you want. But when you're talking about the old Sunset Sound days or Westlake days, it's more seat of the pants, and to me it's a lot more fun, and it's a better detective. I have a more likely chance of hitting on my theories than I do once they get to 5150. It's anybody's guess what was going on in there, really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it may stop at 84.
So Jim, we got a question from
84 is
Santa
my
Cruz.
84 is my
3600.
favorite Eddie Van Halen guitar tone.
Is your what guitar tone, Jay?
It's my favorite Eddie Van Halen tone because it's kind of like a blend of it's not overly distorted yet, and it's kind of like it still has the rawness. You can still hear the guitar, but it's also getting to.
It's getting wider. There's more harmonizer. Yeah. There's more H910 going on. Absolutely.
Yeah. To me, it's like the perfect blend for me. I just love how it sounds. Yeah,
and I got to figure out the guitars on that one too. I know it's the V for Hot for Teacher, Drop Dead Legs, and Girl Gone. I think Girl Gone Bad too. Yeah. But I don't know the other. I think Panama was the Frank. I think. And that might be the only one that the Frankenstein is on.
Garber swears that the 5150 wasn't on 84.
Oh, I don't think it is.
Even though Eddie has said that.
Eddie said it was.
I don't think it is. Honestly, I don't think. What did he play it on?
I know, right?
Although Panama is weird enough sounding, of course, but that's tuned a half step down too, and the rest of the album is in standard tuning. So I don't know. When I get into it, I'll get into it and see what I can figure out. But
Eddie, he had this weird thing where he would use the guitar that he recorded, he would use in the video. Around 84 time, he started using the guitar he recorded, as he got into, 5150 and for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. So who knows? But
Yeah.
a handful of videos that he did, he would use the guitar that he, I think, played on the track.
Yeah, but I don't. Hot for Teacher is pretty well documented. It was the Carina, the 58V.
Right.
And it sounds like it. I mean,
And you can hear him change the
pickup selector.
Yeah, it's so clearly a PAF. I mean, it is so clearly an underwound, clean pickup on, Drop Dead Legs and Hot for Teacher. Again, it's that whole gain thing we were talking about earlier. People think there's a lot of distortion there, but it's not. It's clean. It's really clean.
Yeah. What's your thought on Beat It? What amp and guitar do you think you used on Beat It? I know that's like a real broad question.
My guess it was the 5150, and I think it was just a super lead rented from SIR.
But we talked about the 50. This what was it last week, Johnny? If he recorded that
a couple weeks ago
in 82, he didn't have the 5150 yet.
Was that 82?
Yeah, the album came out.
I think.
Well, the album came out in 82, though.
Yeah.
Alan?
Yeah. Well, then it was the Frank. I'm sure then it was the Frank because it was very similar pickups, and
we went to Michael Bolton instead of Michael Jackson.
But Eddie said he what I've heard from
82.
Luther is he rented
82. Sorry.
He rented an amp.
Yeah, that's what Lukather said. That's what Lukather said too, and Lukather was there at the session, so and they were buddies, so he would know. I think it's just that's the other thing. All the myth about that amp. There's nothing special about it. I'm seriously contemplating, in part of this whole women and children first thing that I've been doing. As I've kind of detailed, I've been struggling with it, and I'm looking back at, I don't know if I'm going to go really deep into the woods if I talk about the NFB circuit in the amplifier and when those changes were made, that he went from a 47K on the 8 ohm to 100K on the 4 ohm. I've got another super lead set up in here that I've been actually experimenting with and recording these tracks for women and children first. It's not the usual orange one that I play through. It's a different 100 watt loaded with 6 CA7s, and it sounds closer to it. So it's just, and they're just stock configured. I mean, just the little things that changing the NFB circuit will do, changing that one resistor and which tap it's on the impedance tap, makes the amp super hairy, makes it noisier, makes it grittier, makes it boomier. So there's very little subtle things that you can get the sound out of any amp. That's what I'm saying. There's no magic to it. It's picking the right guitar. Don't over gain the thing. Just play it pretty clean. And it's just the Marshall Kerrang kind of sound is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's the player.
Back to Beat It. Lukather wasn't present during Beat It. I've read interviews where he said he wasn't there. But
right, not while Ed was tracking. No, not while Ed was tracking.
Apparently, what I've heard is he did it at Sunset Sound during the recording of Halsworth's album. And friend of the channel, Drew from Sunset Sound, I've been in contact with him. He's going through the files trying to find some paperwork to validate this apparent Beat It solo that Eddie did either while he was there at Sunset Sound helping Halsworth, or if he rented studio time for an hour and did it himself. But hopefully you find that out, because I think it'd be cool to be able to indulge all that.
Oh,
that's cool. I always, the story goes that they went over to where they were recording it and did it, and then he cut up the tape and blew the whole SMPTE time code, and they had to read.
He did.
They had to get Picaro back in there to play along to the re-engineered tracks.
Which would make sense that they sent the tapes to Don Landy, right?
and nobody was
Yeah.
watching Ed
Yeah.
as they were chopping it up. Yeah, it would make sense. Absolutely.
I think it's overlooked. I don't think people have really dove into that.
Yeah, but most people don't give a shit. It's just it's people like us. You know,
Most
Like,
people haven't even heard that song.
Well, I don't know about that. Everyone's heard that song. They just don't know who played it and where it came from.
Like you tell an
I-
average like Van Halen or even Michael Jackson fan that, oh, Eddie might not have recorded that during the session of Thriller. He might have flown. They might have, gotten the tapes down. They'd be like, I don't care where the hell it was recorded.
Yeah, I kind of have to stick to, what the older albums that are somewhat documented that happened mostly at Sunset Sound, and you can get a general idea of what was, the console it was recorded on, the tape machine it was tracked on, the basic effects that they had, the EQs that they had, so you can
Right.
you can make some educated guesses and make some pretty close approximations and say, yeah, it's theory, but if they went somewhere else and they're in Quincy Jones's favorite studio and they're doing the Beat It part and they got an SIR amp and who knows what the hell it is and what speaker cabinet is it and what mics did they use? I mean, did they use a Royer ribbon? Did they put a 57 in front? What'd they do? That's one of those things that would talk about a rabbit hole, but if you can get some confirmation, absolutely, from a guy at Sunset Sound, if he can find corroborating paperwork, then you can put the pieces together.
Yeah, the problem is it's from January to April. So we got like 3 months of paperwork he's got to fumble through.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Why don't you fly down to Sunset Sound and you go through it,
I got time. I can make it
There
happen.
you go. You'd probably love to do that.
That'd be great.
I'd love to go there. I would love to just crank up an amp in that room. I would love that.
For sure.
That'd be cool.
Man. Well, good night, Edward Crane. Edward Crane said he's got to go.
Good night, man.
And yeah, Santa Cruz says, I can't believe Don Landy would do that. Who knows what engineer? I mean, like Kurt said, who was the engineer on Holdsworth's record at that time?
Landy
Oh,
and Eddie.
Don Landy.
Okay, well then, who knows? I mean,
Yeah, they might not have been given the straight answer. They might not have known that it was all SMPTE locked and everything. I mean, they're used to doing the rock records where, I don't think Van Halen started using SMPTE till well into the Hagar days. And you guys are too fucking young to even know what SMPTE is, for God's sake. So
yeah.
I didn't know who
Eddie,
Van
too,
Halen was.
When Eddie did that track, I don't think he knew how big it was going to be.
No.
yeah, probably not.
Obviously.
Probably
So it was
not.
probably just, he just kicked it to him.
It does take major balls to change the entire arrangement and start chopping up the master tapes, the 24-track master. That takes some pretty big balls.
Do you think he would have do you think he would have asked permission? Do you think he would have made a call or something? Or do you think he just did it?
You're Eddie Van Halen.
The story goes that something that he was talking about redoing the arrangement to make it better, moving this and doing the chord changes differently so he could solo over the.
Yeah, because he didn't want to solo. It was just the whole time. That was all it was, right?
Right. So he wanted to solo over, I think, the bridge chord changes or something like that. So, I mean, that's big balls chopping up the 24-track master. After all those guys, all those session guys went, you're laying down the guitar lead. It's one of the last things you're doing, so big balls.
Yeah. Man.
Yep. And Lukather said, he had his 59 burst Marshall or burst Les Paul plugged into his Marshalls, and he knew Eddie was doing the solo, so he was going for a middle tone. And when Quincy
doesn't
he's
get
like,
it,
turn
though.
it down, like we need to tone this down a little bit. So he changed it completely. but I think Lukather was trying to play up to Eddie.
Yeah, probably trying to get that sound. Yeah, because he does the recorded rhythm guitar sound is, kind of crappy. Really
Thin.
Yeah.
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 And
But
I
he
always
played on
thought that I always thought that
59 version.
I always thought like Eddie overdone. Lukather said he's the one who put that in there.
Yeah, I think that's
Yep.
Luke playing that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie just did the
59 burst.
Yeah. It's one of the greatest.
I love
solos.
that. I love that
No,
song.
it is. It's killer. I mean, and you remember when it came out too, because it was instantly recognizable. Whether or not you knew he played on the track, you went, "Huh, that's Ed. He played.
Mhm.
That's Ed playing on that."
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he
Again,
say
I
like,
was old enough to remember that. But
because didn't he say like the rest of the band was like, on vacation and stuff. Nobody was around. So he's like, no
Yep.
one will know I did this.
Everyone
You know,
was out, on vacation.
yeah.
So
What
Johnny,
about
if we
that
get
other-
that info, we could do a whole show on it.
Yeah,
We could.
of course. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be
Yeah.
great. And I know, Jim, we told you we do a couple hours, so
Oh, I'm
So,
good. I'll keep going. I don't care. But I don't know if we're boring the hell out of everybody.
are you guys bored?
There's 90 watching or so.
Yeah.
But speaking of Eddie's, they did the solo on "Beat It," of course, and then of course there's the Nicolette Larson where he's not even credited, like you don't even see his name or
That's
anything.
awesome.
Do you know of that other solo? What was the bass player? Kurt. What's the bass? Was it Vanilla Fudge? Who was the bass player? What's his name? Alan. There's a solo on a track where we think it's Eddie, but it doesn't say it's Eddie.
Mm.
What's the dude's name? The bass player from Bogart.
Oh, Tim
Bogart.
Bogart. Yeah,
Tim
Bogart.
Bogart, yeah.
Do you know of that Tim Bogart song where it has a guitar solo that sounds just like Eddie, but it's credited to like let me see if I can find it.
No, I think you're right. I remember that story that he was jamming with Tim Bogart, and they had done some stuff. I think I remember that story now that you mention it.
Have you ever heard that song? Tim Bogart.
No, I keep going back to the Patti Smith or Smith and Scandal too.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I
And
think he
when
did
Eddie
a
did
little bit of
the bass stuff for Lukather on his
Yeah.
first solo album, he didn't want to be credited as well. And originally they were going to put the bass players someone else, and then after they mixed it, they ended up crediting Eddie for it. But originally he didn't want to be credited on it.
yeah.
It's this.
Back
I'll
in
I'll
86
show you guys
or
the cover.
87.
Yeah, I think there was probably a lot of that went. I don't think he cared much about it. He just wanted to play. Just go in and help out his buds, whatever.
Or he didn't want Roth to find out. One of the two.
Well, I think
Or I wonder if the whole record label, because usually when somebody who's signed with a record
Exclusive.
label appears on somebody else's record, they have to get like approval and
yeah, there's a lot of that
um,
bullshit. I mean, the whole Michael McDonald story and I'll Wait, right?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that was a major snafu.
So yeah, this album, the Tim Bogart album, Master's Brew. There's a song
Yep, I remember
called
this.
"Don't Leave Me This Way" or something.
Uh-huh.
And actually, on here it does say that that is Eddie.
Oh wow.
Where's the credits? Oh well, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I'll send you the link to that, and you can listen to it. And
Yeah,
You gotta go to
cool.
Wikipedia.
it sounds like it's Eddie, but it's there is something strange about it though too. But yeah.
Boy, here comes our first 3-minute lull in conversation.
So Jim, you use Logic Pro for all your audio recording you do for your video?
Yeah. I think I've kind of detailed. I use that Behringer X32 as my audio interface kind of thing. So I can actually run 32 tracks at once into the DAW, which is like I was detailing with the whole drum setup too. So I get away with that, and I can also do that zero latency monitoring too. So it's super handy, especially if you're tracking. If my brother comes down from Madison and we play a drum part. We'll play guitar and drums live, and I figure I want to go back and redo the guitar. Or I have to put down a bass line or do something like that.
Uh-huh.
If you've got that much latency, it's freaking impossible to do that.
Right.
So the zero latency monitoring is huge. I love that. So that's what I use that for. But yeah, the recording is all Logic Pro.
Well, you're right in Jay's wheelhouse. That's what he does. Right, Jay?
Yeah, I don't use Logic Pro, but yes, that's
What are you using?
Yeah.
Pro Tools?
yeah, Pro Tools. What is it now? Ultimate
he's
or
a
some
mixer.
crap? HD Ultimate, whatever the hell it's called.
It's I used to use Pro Tools. They got so ridiculously expensive.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
absurd. I mean, I think a full on copy of Logic costs you $139 or something.
Yeah, it's for me to keep, and I guess I heard from my rep at Alto Music that who I get he actually gives me a discount on the yearly Pro Tools.
That's the other thing. Yeah, you gotta pay the subscription now.
Yeah, he said this April. I probably shouldn't be saying this on the air.
Oh wait, hang on.
Yeah, we're not listening.
Johnny just told me that Avid is changing their, and I guess it's going to get worse. Like they're going to really start sticking.
Oh,
it
boy.
To, so who knows?
Bend over.
I mean, I don't know how much better is it than
The thing is, it's like I hate saying this, but I mean, it is as far as the majority of professional engineers are using Pro Tools. So
I know,
like,
but you can
what do they
send
call it? The industry standard type crap, But it's
There
like,
you go.
a couple of years ago, I tried switching to Studio One because a buddy of mine uses it. And everything was like reversed. And I was like, I was about to start a new mixing session. I was like, I can't do this now. I can't learn a whole new DAW
right.
right before
Right.
I start a session. So I was like, screw it. I bit the bullet,
What's that? What's the new Universal Audio one? They've got that new. It's a new DAW that they've got. I forget the name of it.
Yeah,
It comes with their whole suite of plugins. It's really, I mean, it looks great. I don't know if it is great, but it looks great.
I'm sure it is. I mean, Universal Audio stuff is awesome.
It is.
But I mean, for the most part, all these things they get the same shit done.
I know.
Yeah.
You're capturing where does the analog digital conversion actually happen, and whose converter is better?
Yeah.
Does it make a difference? By the time you do your plugins or outboard gear in, does it really make a difference? It's a digital file.
Yeah, and think of when Pro Tools first started, being, everybody started recording in Pro Tools. I mean, those converters aren't as good as the ones out now, and some of those albums sound amazing. So it's
Right.
like,
Right.
Yeah. I was at an ad agency in, God, probably, the hell was that? 90, maybe 91.
Mhm.
And they had a voiceover studio, and they had Pro Tools, one of the original versions of Pro Tools. So that's what I started on after the whole analog tape thing. That was my first experience to, working in a digital setup. I thought it was fabulous, compared to working with tape. You had never ending redos. You could edit, you could move, you could cut and paste.
you don't have to wait for the tape to stop, rewind, get to the like all that stuff. It was like,
Have you ever recorded with a bunch of ADATs or a bunch of machines locked together?
I don't know about machines locked together, but I mean,
That is when you start to go locating and you're you're tracking solos or something. You're doing a bunch of, like, say you're laying down a guitar solo and you want to make 4 or 5 different passes at it and maybe think about comping it or
Comping
whatever.
them together. Yeah.
My God. And so now you're 30 tracks in and you're waiting for all these machines to lock up. So your rewind is, and you can hear them all going back and forth and finding their spot. It's like, Jesus Christ, it takes them 5 minutes to auto locate. Then I've lost the inspiration. I can't do it anymore.
I don't remember what I just played. Yeah. But I mean, imagine like going to school or learning analog. And as soon as like you kind of get through it, the switch happens. I'd be like, son of a bitch, you know?
Yeah, what the hell?
Well, and that's the other thing too, when you analog versus digital. I'd love to give myself an old Studer 24 2-inch tape, or an Atari or anything, and because you crush the tape. I mean, you pound the tape, and that's got a tone all of its own. You can't crush your digital signal. You can't get that natural crosstalk and compression and all that stuff. Yeah, you can simulate it. And there's plugins for it, but it's just not the same. It really isn't.
I'm sure you've seen the classic albums on Def Leppard Hysteria.
Oh yeah,
probably.
If you've never watched that, because they kind of go in. Obviously, Mutt Lange doesn't do any interviews for it. He like, I think they ended up pulling up some older interviews.
Old interviews.
Yeah, but they were talking about how, like, for the majority of those choruses, they'd record like 24 like takes.
Insane.
Throw it all, comp it down to, to 2. But they're like, think of it this way. That's tape. So you're going back, recording over. And they're like, but obviously, when you listen to it, you can't, but that's funny because they're literally wearing out that tape,
That's what we used to do. You'd start with we'd have a 16. The studio I recorded a lot of stuff in, we had a 16 track machine, a Tascam 16 track, and you would keep bouncing so the drums would take up, you'd track the drums and then you'd do some scratch tracks, or you would at least, depending on what you were laying out, you do, like, so I'd do one track of live guitar, bass player would be live, you'd do a scratch vocal, and there it is. You've essentially used your 16 tracks. So then you'd mix the drums, you'd bounce them down to 4 tracks maybe, so that you were stuck with that mix that you bounced it down to.
Oh yeah.
And then you do the same thing for vocals. So you keep multi-tracking the vocals. So you get that sunshine vocal thing, and you keep multing them down. And you'd be going back and forth and bounce to this and bounce to that. And then all of a sudden you'd have 8 tracks free. What can we put in now? Well, let's comp a guitar solo. It was a different time. Now it's just, you've got endless tracks.
Oh yeah, literally endless tracks. And the thing too, when you're talking about bouncing, all those tracks down so you have more room to record. When you listen to some of those isolated, like, remember when the Guitar Hero or Rock Band tracks started coming out and they had like the stems and stuff like that. There are some tracks where like it's like the backing vocals, but then there's a keyboard track in there with it. Because they only have so many tracks, so they're like, hey, we got to put this keyboard track with the backing vocals.
Yeah, we would do the same thing. You'd run out of tracks, and then you'd say, okay, well, the keys do this right here, but there's a break right here, so let's get in, get out, and you'd put it all on that same track. And then you'd take the grease pencil on the console, because you didn't really have automation, so you'd do the grease pencil on the faders, and then you'd say, okay, boop, boop, and then you'd pan, and you do that while you were mixing down. You would actually physically move the faders, and you would mix and do all those adjustments while you're bouncing a 2-track in the final mix.
There was an art to that stuff, man. I mean, that's, I do this stuff on Pro Tools or whatever. What Jim's talking about right now, that's real engineering. Like, that's,
Yeah.
Well, and then the sounds that you get too, because there is degradation, there's crosstalk, there's over-biased, under-biased tape. All of that stuff factors into what the final product sounds like, and how hard you hit the tape. I miss it. To me, it was a more real way of doing it. You can capture great stuff in the digital realm, but I feel like it's like there was more at stake. There was more red light fever when you're actually performing in the studio, that you were trying to capture something magical and special. Whereas now we'll come back to it. I mean, you only had so much tape, you only had so many tracks. And the other key thing is, in the DAWs now with all the plugins, you've got unlimited reverbs, unlimited compressors, unlimited everything. You can put a plugin on everything. And some of the magic of the older recordings is, you had 3 compressors in the whole studio. You had 1 reverb unit, or you had the chambers at Sunset Sound. And those types of things, you run everything, you run the drum bus through the same compressor, 1 compressor, and maybe you side chain something, maybe if you have the luxury of doing that. And then you run the whole mix through like an LA2A or something. You run the whole thing to just kind of glue it together, and everything's got the same reverb. You're just adjusting how much of that same reverb, so it glues the mix together. You don't have 16 different kind of reverbs with different decays and delays coming in. And this is, the snare drum might get a special treatment with a little bit of plate reverb, but everything else is the chamber.
And you're right when you talk about, obviously with this compression or whatever, gluing the mix together. But when you do use the same reverbs and stuff on the majority of a recording, that kind of makes it sound like it's recorded all together and that type of thing.
Yeah, it's a big thing to do. I think it's important to capture if you're trying to emulate that sound, if you're trying to get back to the analog days, I think that's important. Don't go plug in crazy. Don't keep stacking reverbs. Well, the toms need this reverb, the snare needs this reverb. I'm gonna gate this, gate that, gate. I mean, how many gates did your average studio have? You have a 4-way gate. Maybe you had a couple of 2 4-way gates. So you had 8 gates.
Yeah. Gate in the backyard.
So that's I think a lot of people lose sight of that too with the digital recording. Keep it simple. If you start like in what I'm doing with these Van Halen videos, these Brown Sound things, that's how I always start pulling myself back. It's like, okay, so I'm running such and such a compressor here, then I'm going over here to the main bus, and I'm doing, because I am, in some sense, I have to try to emulate the master, the mastering process too on the main bus.
Yeah,
a little bit, because there was some gentle EQing going on, maybe some multi-band compression going on the main when they were mastering the record. That would be pretty standard stuff if they were doing that.
Kurt, that's louder than.
Is this boring, Kurt?
It's like the Godfather's in here. That's like the theme from the Godfather.
I got it turned down. Sorry.
He's like, hey, my internet sucks. I'm just gonna play.
See, that's a gate. That's a gate right there.
I know.
That's a perfect example.
I'm just gonna snort some fingeries now, okay?
No, use it like Banaka.
And Jim, I got a message from Fairfield Guitars. He wants to send you a Bumblebee strap if you want one. So I'll get your info and he'll send you one.
Whoa!
Strap.
Nice, look at that.
Wow, cool.
One of these.
Super
yeah, so I'll get your
Where's the
info. He'll
picture?
send you one.
Cool, very cool. Appreciate
And the
that.
picnic table.
And
And the gate.
and
I've already got 2 quad gates. I'm good, thanks. Actually, I got a horse farm. I got a lot of gates. Jesus.
my mom would love you.
I'll send her a horse. I was talking about that earlier. I'm
My
happy.
dad will kill you.
Yeah. I don't blame him. I I used to have 15 of them. I'm down to 3. I'm
Oh
ready
my
to get
God.
rid of
Holy
them.
smokes!
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Awesome.
I hope my
Bizarre.
parents aren't watching this. I'll be
Well,
in deep
Get
crap.
my address. I'll send the trailer.
Yeah.
Man,
No,
no,
but
I think
mean, I could talk about, recording and all that stuff all damn day. But, for somebody who does, all their stuff digitally, for the most part in the box, I have like API, mic pre's and, stuff like that. But for the most part, if I'm mixing something, some of these bands, they recorded the stuff on their own. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, a lot of times I have to get in there and be like, okay, how do I make this sound more natural and not like what I've mentioned before, like sterile, with a lot of these things. But it's fun as hell to get in there and really, get down to brass tacks.
Yeah. And drums too that's the big thing to me is drums is
Yeah.
I hate's a little strong, but I don't like the heavily gated, isolated. I like a drum kit to sound like a drum kit.
Mhm.
That's the is it Glenn Johns, that method, the 3 mic method or the 4 mic method on the drum kit.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, but I also don't mind putting, some mics on the toms and blend it in. But I want the drum kit to sound like an instrument all in itself. I don't need the tom hit to only capture the tom hit. If there's a little bit of snare rattle in there, if it's being picked up on the hi-hat mic, it's okay. That's because in the final mix, otherwise you get that super dry, super tight metal drum.
That I do a lot of metal, so that's I know what you're talking about. But for anything lower than that, as far as on the heaviness scale, yeah, I mean you want it to breathe and stuff like that. And
Exactly. And that's but again, I'm an old guy, so that's kind of what I dig, and I don't care for the super dry, that that really tight reverb metal sound where it sounds like your ear is right up against the guitar speaker cabinet. Everything is just so tight. And I get that's the way it has to be, but to me that doesn't sound natural. I don't think a guitar ever sounds like that.
Oh yeah, if I sent one of these bands back a mix like what I would do for like a rock band, they'd be like, what is this?
Right, exactly.
And plus, when everything is like so, if a band is playing, did it like a bunch of like, up tempo stuff, it's going to sound like just what is happening, like where is all this coming from, So
right. Well, listen to Loss of Control, Van Halen.
Mhm.
That song is a friggin' mess, but it's cool because it's so loose and it's wild.
it's lost of control.
Tight.
Well, perfect name for the song, right?
It is. It is. It's nutty. It's wacky.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's
That's
11 o'clock. I mean,
fueled thing.
I would love to go all night, but I know we can't, and we don't want to drag on too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says the guy who was an hour late.
I know.
Ah!
I know.
That's right, Jim. That's damn right.
Well,
I'll bust his balls for 3 weeks for that.
Yeah, I love it. You guys can still keep going.
I got it.
Cool.
Remember, I have company. I have company. And listen, look.
I have to have dinner.
Jim, you see that back there?
I see it.
This is where somebody's sleeping. So it's 11 o'clock.
Is Boner Jam's coming back over?
Someone's asleep back there?
They're actually under. Can you see? They're under the. No,
Is Boner Jam staying the night again?
no, one of Dee's friends is here. The one with the 51, the striped pants. Jessica, she's here.
Oh, nice.
My wife would love the Bears thing though. The Bears blanket though. So.
Oh, she's a Bears fan?
Yes, she is.
Well, let me guess. You're a Packers fan.
He's a
aren't you?
Packers fan, Jay.
Man.
Where's the puke sound? So
Hey,
are you
I hate Aaron Rodgers as much as the next guy. So.
I'm sure you saw the news
Okay.
with Devontae Adams going to the Raiders.
Yeah, you know what? I don't give a crap. I'm a guitar player. I'm not much of a sports guy.
I wish I didn't like sports and I wish I didn't like video games. Imagine how much better I'd be at a guitar if I didn't have that stuff ruining my my formative years on guitar.
I get a kick out of hockey. That's my thing. But even
Blackhawks?
then, it's
Blackhawks?
Preds.
Who?
Preds, baby. Nashville Predators.
Oh, really? Okay, well, you're in Nashville.
Well, I'm here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I lived in Chicago. There's a reason I left.
Oh, well, the weather.
Oh,
How
hey
about
now.
that? The weather sucks. How about that?
Well, the crime and the fees and the taxes aren't great either. I own the company, so they're not very business friendly there. So
No.
Anyway,
Man.
there it is. See,
Oh.
You just
And
need
they
one of
don't-
those knots.
and they don't let me chamber the Winchester there on Michigan Avenue, where I can do that too.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Well, hey,
Come on, I'm in
Jim.
the wild, for God's sakes. Yeah, I'm in the wild.
Yeah. We did a test the other day. We talked about that. We both have chickens.
Yeah.
He has horses.
Big
He
dogs.
has a bird too,
Wow.
doesn't he have a parrot?
I got a parrot. Yeah. Yeah, I got a regular menagerie here.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, hey, Jim, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
And
Fun.
awesome. We look forward to your Women and Children First video dropping very soon.
What's the link to his to the YouTube channel? Are we gonna
It's
throw it in?
exclamation point Jim.
Yeah, and I got to do the organization on it, the playlist, right? Isn't that what you said, Johnny?
Yeah,
playlist?
you can make a playlist on the front of your channel to where you have all the different
All right. cool.
everything organized.
Very cool.
You
Thank
have
you.
a new subscriber.
If you need
I
some
did
help with that, I
subscribe
can
to
help
you.
you.
There we go.
Super. Cool.
Awesome.
And you
Thank
want me
you.
to hang for an address?
Oh yeah.
We'll get it in the green
Yes.
All right. Cool.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Don't hang
Thank-
up yet.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you, channel members. Where's the thing at? We love all of you. Oh, there they are. There you go. Channel members, thank you so much for continued support here. And we will see you guys tomorrow night, Saturday night, with actually John Beale might not even be here tomorrow. We'll see. It'll be an interesting show tomorrow. We'll see who shows up. But see you tomorrow night. What else? Is that
Well,
it?
you're really good at wrapping these shows up, huh?
Yeah, I know. I'm starving. I haven't had dinner yet. I'll see you guys a little later on. GTA over on Twitch. Later tonight. We got a crew over there.
Thanks, John Allen.
John Allen. Thank you, man.
Hey now.
Thank you so much. What was that? All right. All right. We'll see you guys later. John Beane TV.